What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Who You Got with and Rado is a sports podcast where we talk your favorite sports debates, sports highlights, and sports matchups. And if you guys are watching the video, please make sure you go ahead and click that like button below, man. We love for you guys to go ahead and subscribe to our channel as well. Everybody that's subscribing is a big fan of ours, and you guys are all legends. So we really appreciate you guys following us along and supporting us. Also, if you guys want to get some extra support, go over to Patreon. We got a Patreon page over there. We got some even exclusive merch for the people that sign up 3 months, 6 months, and 9 months. Also, that's the place where you guys can ask us just general questions. If you want to have us do a topic about something sports related, you can ask us there. Or just some general support as well. We're also everywhere on social media,
Yeah.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're everywhere. You guys can find us. Just type in Who You Got. Even just Google it, Who You Got. You'll find us. And as well, we're on everywhere, around the social media as well with our personal pages. Mello, you're at. That's right. And I
Notorious.
got a new one. I had to switch it up from the iconic dude, but I'm gonna
Your boy got hacked.
got hacked from Facebook. Yeah, they hacked me. Facebook and Instagram got hacked, but oh well. Anyways, got a new Facebook, and that will be on the next episode. So make sure you guys tune into the next episode. I will be sharing my personal Instagram and Facebook. This is exclusive, y'all. And today we got a really cool topic. Obviously, if you guys don't know already from whatever's behind me, Mello, why don't you tell the people what we're talking about?
So excited. We've been waiting faithfully, and it is NBA season once again. And it was a crazy, crazy off season. And
Exactly.
that's what we're here to talk about, man. NBA
It really
season
was,
preview.
man. It really was a crazy off season, and I can't wait to talk about it. But I mean, the season obviously it did start off a little bit, but we want to talk about the whole preview as a whole. We're gonna talk about pretty much every team on the Western Conference, like you said, and we're gonna give our own little predictions. Obviously, we're not gonna go into records specifically, but we are
Right.
gonna talk about if they're gonna make the playoffs, if they're gonna be a fringe playoff team as far as a play-in tournament, and if they're gonna be outside the playoffs, looking at a lottery pick. So
Exactly.
those are the three categories we've got with the predictions that we're gonna make, and we can throw in like a prediction for the Western Conference Finals as well
No, for
at the end.
sure. Definitely. You already know. Both conferences mostly already got established top
Right.
contenders. So
Yep.
we're pretty much going to see the same teams, but at this point, is those teams really trying to work just above each other and around each other, and obviously be able to get through each other. So today we're definitely going to visit the Western Conference,
Exactly. And
and
speaking of those top tier teams, I'm gonna start off with the team that won the championship last year, man, the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, coming off a big championship last year against, I'm sorry, your Boston Celtics. Sorry to bring that up again. Those bad memories. But,
I ain't gonna
they did
lie,
their thing.
their
So,
championship ceremony was honestly amazing. The rings look bomb. Just
oh,
whew.
tell ya, bro.
The
Tell me
the
about it.
rings are crazy. At the end of the day, the story that they went through last year, like it sucks as a Celtic fan, but
Right.
as a Celtic fan, if someone else had to win the championship, if I honestly had to choose, it definitely would have been the Warriors.
For you. I mean, I had them pretty much. I had them and the Clippers. I thought, oh, in the Western Conference last year, I had them in the Clippers, Warriors Clippers. I thought that the Clippers were going to win because I thought Kawhi was going to be back. Obviously, he wasn't, but I wasn't mad at the Warriors at all. I really thought
Mhm.
that Steph was going to have a career year last year. He didn't win the MVP, but he was up there for top five in MVP voting. So I thought he did an amazing job. And like you said, coming in this year, they're still probably the hottest team in basketball right now, have the best odds to win. And they just made some big signings, man. Just recently,
Mhm.
re-signed Jordan Poole 4 years, and also made that big move to re-sign Wiggins as well.
Oh yeah. No, definitely at this point, this team is with the the veteran core and pretty much all these addition of young, basically somewhat be under their prime, young stars. It's just I've never seen a team put both of those attributes so well together and make it work.
True.
Obviously, they won a championship last year, and like you said, they're pretty much primed to do it all over again. Steph Curry's literally looking like he's in his prime. I know
Facts.
he's looking a little old, but last year's performance and the way he went off in the playoffs and carried that team when they needed him to show up, absolutely amazing.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, Draymond Green's gonna be that defensive monster and be that factor on the court. Trying to run that offense and defense. Like you said, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, still keeping Jonathan Kaminga and Moses Moody.
Crazy
Pretty
that they kept
much,
those two right there. That's the crazy part. They're gonna be able to keep Moses Moody and Kaminga, which is insane to me, honestly. And
and
James Wise.
Jordan Poole. And that's what I said. The only real question is James Wiseman. Obviously, we know what talent he can have, but it's the injuries that keep killing him.
That's
Um,
for sure. At least they got one more year with him, paying him on
they
this
do
contract. They could pick up his
to
fifth
try to
year
figure it
option.
out.
Yeah, they could also pick up his fifth year option next year. If they do that, then they're gonna have to figure it out because once they pick up his fifth year option, they have to pay him um like a smaller max contract because the way he's playing, he's deserving like similar to what my man Poole got, which was like 4 years, 120 mil, something like that.
I
That's
mean, if he
about.
could stay healthy, I think, and if he could show it, then I think he could be worth more than that. But the problem is he's gonna have a very limited window to show that. And they're not
Yep.
gonna just throw him on the floor to give him all these extra minutes to do that. He's gonna be on load management for a majority of the season, making sure he's not trying to be at that risk of re-injuring himself. So he's not primed to make a year where he's gonna get a lot of opportunity to earn that contract. So at the end of the day, he's gonna fall into more of a role player type of a role, and it sucks because unless
Hmm.
he goes somewhere else, they'll give him that money. But at the end of the day, being drafted into 2020, he was right before Melo Ball, and my man hasn't
Right.
even played like 40 something. He hasn't even played 40 something games yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, he definitely hasn't shown that he can sustain a full season yet, and even in college, he's had trouble. I agree with you there, but I mean, they did make a few key pickups this year. The Warriors did. They did pick up Patrick Baldwin Jr., who they're hoping is going to
Yeah.
be a backup center because if James Wiseman happens to go out and you got Kevon Looney is the only guy that's going to be your tall guy, then you need another guy that's tall that could block shots, and Patrick Baldwin's a decent shot blocker.
Oh
And then
yeah.
they also got Ty Jerome, who was on the Phoenix Suns, as a backup point guard. He's probably going to be more of a third point guard behind Moody, um, for like smaller rotation minutes, probably 5 to 7 minutes a game up until like the playoffs. As far as the team though, like you said, they're the most loaded team I think in basketball, other than one other team that we'll talk about later, and I'll tell you what that is. But I think that they're so stacked. They're definitely top two for me as far as from top to bottom. If you got a 10-man rotation, which they do, they got a 10-man rotation, probably even
Right.
12-man, honestly, if you look at it. So I definitely think that they're for sure going to be a top four team in the West. I do expect them to do big things again. My thing is, my only prediction this season is there a possibility that they're going to trade Andrew Wiggins? That's my only prediction. I think that there might be. I think they might trade Andrew Wiggins before trade deadline and possibly get somebody back.
For what though?
If that's the thing, because like you were saying about James Wiseman, so if James Wiseman starts playing good, then they know that next year they're going to have to pay him after they pick up his option, and you can't have that many players, with those contracts. So you're gonna have
Don't
to
worry
get rid of,
about that next year.
I guess, but I would get rid of Wiggins and try to get something back, somebody that's like on a, I don't know, a smaller deal or a younger player, maybe even picks. And if that's only if Wiseman is doing good, and obviously other guys need to step up,
Nah, I don't
like
think there's
Moody.
any way they didn't sign Wigmans to ship him. And if they did, it sure won't be during the season. If anything, at the end of the season, if they win or lose another championship, they might decide to then move some pieces. But they definitely don't have no intention of moving him this year. Because at the end of the day, if Wiseman has a good year, then that's what they want. And they're going to keep both of them because that's their best chance at winning another championship run.
For
So
sure this year. For sure this year. Yep.
maybe after the year, if like I said, maybe if they win and decide, then we can't keep all these pieces, someone got to go, or even if they lose and say, well, we can't keep all these pieces, we got to add one more piece, and obviously we can't do that without moving someone.
You got a
Either
point.
way,
Yeah.
I think that don't happen till the end of the season.
Yeah, you definitely got a point there, but it just depends on who's available. Like, what if there's a bigger name available that they could possibly get that, you never know. Like maybe Tyler Hero becomes available and they do a straight up trade, like, Wiggins for Tyler Hero or somebody like that.
Why would they do that?
I mean, if they
Wiggins'
want another
defense
shooter,
is his best, but they don't need another shooter.
They don't.
They
They need
got
defense from
pulled. That's what
Wiggins.
I'm
You're
saying.
right.
They need defense. Yeah. And
You're
if
right.
anything, it would be a big man, and that would be
I was
if
thinking that.
Wiseman isn't playing good
That
and they're getting killed in the paint
I was thinking
because
that as well.
they've made
Because
their dynasty off of not having a center,
yes, 100%.
so they
And
don't necessarily need one.
the only one that's really was a center was Zaza Pachulia. But I mean, he was a 3-point shooter as well. He's stayed outside, and Bogut as well. He's like another guy that they had that was a center. But I think that another guy that might be available is on Indiana, Miles Turner. So he could be available as a big man. That's like you said, if James Wiseman does bad, but you never know. I think I have a prediction that I just think that Wiggins is not feeling the love because he got paid less than Poole. I
You
don't know.
know who's not feeling the love? Poole. He got punched in the damn face.
Hey,
And they know that's why he had to get them extra couple mil. Wiggins not even worried about that. He was like, bro, don't even worry about it. I know you got paid more than me. Go ice that shit off.
my boy was about to sue for
No,
compensation. Like
literally.
work their
Everyone
stuff,
like everyone's probably like,
get on
please.
the job.
Wiggins probably won that offense like boss. We trying to win another one. Give him an extra 5 mil for the love of God. Like now that goes to show that if anyone gets traded, if anyone's not there in the middle or in the end of the season, it's the one person who was up for a contract who didn't get it. And that's Draymond Green.
Draymond Green.
I think signing Poole and Wiggins, one, obviously guaranteed he's not getting a contract because he already said what he wants. No one's giving him that in the Warriors franchise. And two, they obviously they I'll be honest, like I don't want to say he's invaluable, like 'cause they do rely on him to run the offense and run the defense. But if anyone's gonna be on the chopping block to get traded, 100% is gonna be Draymond Green.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it'd be interesting. I don't know. It's just that Draymond that's been their core for so long. Like he's been that one glue player for the
No, yeah,
Warriors.
and he is
But
crucial. Like, there's not no one else on the Warriors team who could run the offense and make passes for Stephen Clay and Poole like Draymond. And there's not no one else on that Warriors team who could play the type of defense and navigate and communicate on defense like Draymond. So I get that. But at the end of the day, if someone has to go, yeah, I think it's him.
wow. Wow, that'd be interesting though. It's gonna be interesting what they do with their season. They have so many players. They're paying over $427 million in luxury tag dollars, insane, the most ever in history. So we will see what happens with the Warriors. I got them as a top 4 ranking in the West. What about you?
Yeah, definitely do got him top 4. Obviously, playoff projection. And I don't really want to give a
Yeah, we
but
can say
I'll
that
say
till the end.
I'll say deep
Deep
playoff
playoff
run.
run. All
Yeah.
right, yeah. If any of these teams that we're talking about is your Western Conference team, just wait for it for then. Just say deep playoff run and wait till the end and then give your Western
Word. But yeah,
Conference.
I'll definitely say
Same.
deep playoff run. What about you?
Yeah, I got the same thing, deep playoff run, and we'll see beyond. But for now, I definitely see them as one of the strongholds in the NBA, and they're gonna easily be a 45-51 team.
Nah, definitely.
Probably.
Yeah, definitely over 50.
Yeah.
So what I gotta go know next is obviously the Warriors are definitely look like they're primed to go on a deep playoff run. Does Dallas have enough of a supporting cast for Luka Doncic to make another deep postseason run? Because at this point, he's been in the playoffs almost every year. I think every year. I'm not. I honestly don't remember that first
Pretty
year.
much, except his rookie
But
year. He's
I
been,
think it's
yeah,
not the rookie. But yeah, other than
yeah.
that, he's definitely been in the playoff after his first year,
Yep.
if not the first. And it seems like every year they're getting a little better, a little closer. Obviously, last year, pretty much one step away
Right.
from reaching the finals.
Right.
Not one step away, but one series away.
Exactly.
Um, but pretty much, it's a lot of things keep happening with Dallas where they keep blowing up the roster, all in support of finding the best supporting cast for Luka Doncic. Pretty much, they made it clear that he's gonna run the half court offense how he
Yep.
sees fit. Pretty much the ball is always gonna be in his hands for the most part. But how far is that really gonna take him?
Damn. I mean, for me, I honestly I think that they lost a lot with Jalen Brunson. To be honest,
Yeah.
I think they lost
Oh,
a lot. I don't think they gained much this year, and I do think he's gonna have a little bit of trouble this season more than he did last year. Obviously, they made it to the Western Conference Finals, and that was going on a playoff run where they thought that they weren't gonna beat the team that they did in the Phoenix Suns, who was the number 1
right.
seeded team. But I think he might be in trouble. What do you think, though?
Nah, so every year before last year, I kept saying they had no clear number two. Tim Hardaway Jr. never stepped up. They couldn't
You did
figure
say
out a
that.
way to make it with Porzingis. And why I didn't believe in Brunson, and I still not the biggest. I'm not completely sold on just him being able to create his own shot by himself, not relying on others playing defense on your best star. Like basically, how good of a number two he can be.
Right.
So he's got a lot to prove in New York now with that, because
Hmm.
they're gonna rely on him a lot to get some buckets.
Yep.
But he was basically the clear number two behind Doncic. Even
Oh
though
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't believe it,
100%.
at the
Yeah.
end of the season, he put up those numbers.
Yep.
Now the reason why I didn't believe it because at the beginning of the season, a lot of those numbers came in place of Doncic. He was coming off the bench and then he started starting when Doncic was injured. But then at a certain point, they had to leave him in the starting lineup, and it's like we need your production too. And he was basically the only other consistent person on offense for the Dallas Mavericks, and definitely he left. Um, Before they had to deal with that, they got Christian Wood, so that's supposed to be a little better. They locked down Finney Smith, but he's really more of a defender, not someone you can go for it. I still don't understand why your boy Cuban is so sold on Maxi Kleber. He still is waiting on him
He's
to
a good
take that
3-point
leap,
shooter.
and that's all he is.
I agree.
Like that's literally for me. That's the only skill he
He is
offers.
not a
Like
rebounder at all.
he's not a rebounder. He's not a good defender. He can't create his own shot. And I mean, yeah, any big man could be decent at pick and rolls.
But I
But at
think
the end
that's
of the
why
day,
they got
he's
Christian Wood, though. That's exactly why they got Christian Wood. Defense and
and
blocking.
JaVale McGee.
JaVale McGee's an amazing blocker as well. He can block
Exactly.
shots. He
So
can
they
block.
definitely try to plug up pieces, but at the end of the day, like I said, it's no offense. You know, like I guess they're gonna rely on Spencer Dinwiddie this year.
Yeah.
So Dinwiddie, I said Dinwiddie. So we'll definitely see what he can rely, and obviously he might be a good number two. Um,
He is
but
actually. He's done it before for Brooklyn, and he scored like 19 points a game for Brooklyn, if you remember 3 years ago. So he can do it. I don't know if he can score over 20.
and that's the thing, you need someone to score like close to 20. Because there's gonna be games where Luca's gonna be injured. There's gonna be games where Luca's not gonna be consistent, and obviously in the playoffs, my man is getting damn near pummeled, like trying to go into the paint. You know, like at this
That's a fact.
point, they're playing the Jordan rules on Luca. Um, it's either that or him taking a crazy step back three. So like I said, every year they keep blowing it up, switching the teams up. This year it's gonna be Luca, Spencer Dinwiddie, obviously Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yep.
Maxi Kleber, JaVale McGee, Christian Wood. Those
Christian
are going to
Wood.
be the big names
Yep.
of what that top 5, 6 is looking like, trying to keep that
Exactly.
team together. And just looking at it, I expect them to win over 50 games, get into the playoffs, make a deep playoff run. But I just don't know how much I trust that team.
Got you. Got you.
Because every
Well,
year it's a new team, and like they always basically comes down to whether Luca can carry them enough or not. And
right.
we know
Exactly.
it's not even that he don't have the talent to. That's not how you win playoff basketball.
Bro, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I think Luca is gonna have an amazing year, and I think he is gonna be in the MVP voting. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna even talk about awards at all, but I definitely see him being up there top three for the MVP this year. Other than that, like you basically said it right, but I just disagree with your point that they're gonna make a deep playoff run because if they're gonna, what you said before was exactly right. They're gonna have trouble finding a second scorer. They're gonna have trouble finding scoring off the bench, and they don't score that many points.
Definitely scoring off the bench.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, they picked up Reggie Bullock, who's he's a nice little point guard that could score in small little phases, and they did get Jaden Hardy, who, he played for the G League Ignite, and we'll see what he can do coming in as a rookie. But other than that, like, yeah, Frank Nicolit, I hate saying his name, the Frenchman from New
Yeah, and
York. I
Frank
can't.
Nitti.
Yeah, Frank Nicky. There you go. Frank Ntilikina. There we go. I can say it. Anyways, he's on there as well. If he takes a step up, you need those three guys: Reggie Bullock, Jalen Hardy, and Frank to step up, and then I could see them making a deep playoff run with the team they got right now. I see probably Christian Wood being their second leading scorer at like 16, 17, and then Dinwiddie coming in at around same thing, 15, 16. Um, but I don't know if they can make a deep playoff run. I see them making the playoffs. Um,
Well, for me, the reason why I say deep playoff run is because just the fact that they got Luka Doncic, he alone has won multiple playoff series.
That's facts.
Him
I just see
alone.
them play. I see them winning one this year.
All
One
right, I'll
playoff
give you that.
series.
I'll give
First
you one,
playoff
and depending
series.
on who they face in a second, I could see that because there's gonna be some tough teams in the West.
That's a
So
fact.
yeah,
That's a
I
fact.
get you. So when I say deep playoff run, I don't necessarily mean conference champion,
Got you. Got you. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
but deep
Got you.
playoff run to me is at least past the first round.
Okay. Got you. Yeah.
Because later we'll establish who we expect to get there, and I'll even tell you the two teams I expect to meet each other. But deep playoff run is at least get past the first round because there's 8
Nice.
teams. It's got to drop down to 4, and hey,
Yep.
the top 4 is still deep. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Definitely is. Definitely
That's
is.
still a
Making
little
it
bit of
past the
a
first
run,
round is a deep.
especially if you had a play in tournament to even get there, win the first round. By the time you get to the second, like yeah, you already been playing. So
But
yeah,
I definitely agree with you. I see them making the playoffs, not on the play-in. I see them being a top 6 seed.
yeah. And then definitely I could see them like it don't matter who they're facing, unless it's the Warriors. Like they might have a chance to almost beat anyone else just based on Luka alone. But
Yes.
obviously they're gonna have a
Agree with
tough
you.
time doing that.
I totally agree with you. I think that he can easily be the underdog and still win. You saw that last year against the number 1
We
team in the Suns.
we seen that 3 years in a row.
Exactly.
We've actually seen that 3 years in a row.
And that's why last year I had to predict it in the beginning of the playoffs. I was like, Luka's going to make it to the Western Conference Finals because he can get you a
Yeah,
playoff run
you
by
did have
himself.
that. You did
By
have
himself.
that. I did not see him dismantling the Suns by himself like that. Like that game 7.
Yo,
I
beast
like
mode.
I
Beast.
literally like in my head like I didn't watch the start of the game. I forgot what I was doing. I think I was drinking or something, and like I turned on the TV, and I'm like, that's a typo. And I'm like,
You're like, they beat them that bad? What?
I didn't believe it.
What?
Like that one part of me believed it because I didn't see it.
Right.
So I turned on TV
Yo,
like, yo, they definitely got
they
the
took
score
over
wrong.
first half and Luka
And
scored
then
a
I'm
bunch of
literally
threes.
watching. I went straight on Twitter, get on the internet, and I'm like, no, this is real. And then I'm watching the plays of him dropping these motherfuckers, just straight,
Facts.
like physically dropping them off. Like, oh my god. So him himself, I give him that first round for sure.
I think he's in the best shape of his life. I
And
definitely give him
he
that first
is
round.
after
And
that EuroLeague. Was it the EuroLeague?
yep. Well, no, it
Yeah.
was, it was, yep, it was
Yeah.
EuroLeague.
After the EuroLeague, he's definitely coming in way better shape. Year
Yep.
5, like he's ready to go. So yeah, he's
Ready to
definitely gonna
go.
be an MVP conversation for sure.
That's a fact. Definitely got him scoring over 30. But going from one team to actually, exploded last year and made a jump to the Western Conference Finals where not many people thought they were going to make it there. Let's go to another team where a lot of people thought last year they were going to be either in the finals or the Western Conference Finals, and myself included. I had them
Because
last
where
year.
were they the year before?
Hey, they were at the Western Conference with a shot away from like making it to the finals, but
Right.
But anyways, let's talk about the Los Angeles Clippers. This is the team that last year I had in the Western Conference Finals. Obviously, they were a playing team. They made it in the first round, but they couldn't do anything because Kawhi Leonard did not play a single game 2021-2022 season.
I said that too.
I know you did, and that's crazy because I didn't believe you. I really thought he was gonna come back January. I'm like, yo, he's coming back. He's coming back.
They shutting him down the whole season.
Yeah, crazy. But even without Kawhi, that team made the playoffs. And honestly, with just Paul George, like lighting it up, he was definitely regular season P balling out.
Yes, he was. Yes,
he was balling out by himself. Two-way player, playing amazing defense last year. I think he made it to the at least second team all defense. I don't know if he was first, but he was definitely second team all defense. I think.
Hey, what I said, I ain't gonna lie. It's been years since I consider Paul George an elite defender. It's been
Yeah.
years.
I mean, last year he showed it though. Last year he showed it.
Second team is above average, but it's not prolific.
Not at all, but he's getting later in his career. Obviously he's covering the best guys in the league. Guys like Giannis, guys like
I'll
LeBron.
give him to that. He had a better
what I mean?
defensive year
So
last year. Yeah,
and he definitely is taking the top guys, and that's definitely gonna help out the team this year because now Kawhi, when he does come back, and I do think Kawhi is gonna come back.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that you're gonna see a totally different team.
No, he's coming back this year.
Yeah, in a few games actually. They already said that he's coming back in the next week or so, second or third week of the season. They did make some good pickups actually. They got Amir Coffey, and they got John Wall as a backup point guard, possibly going to be starting over Reggie Jackson. We don't know yet. In the first game, he didn't, but he did play pretty well. I think that this team is set up so well to play like with a deep roster. They picked up Robert Covington from Philadelphia, who's an amazing 3-point shooter and defender. He's another guy that can actually defend like 1 through 4. Like he really can defend almost every position on the court. Long arms, able to defend. And another great pickup was Norman Powell from Portland, who's
Hmm.
a decent rebounder, and he can block some shots here and there on occasion. He's not going to get many minutes because you got guys like Batum and Zubac that are going to be playing more minutes than him. But I think when he does get in, you're definitely going to see Powell ball out. But I mean, we got to talk about the two guys, Kawhi and Paul George. Do you think that they can take this team, to a deep playoff run? And for me, I think that they definitely can. They got such a deep team. Reggie Jackson, Leonard, obviously Morris Jr. or Morris Sr., John Wall, Terrence Mann, even I didn't even name him, who can drop 50 at any point. Obviously
Oh,
Cove. Like they got some dudes that can play, and all these guys are defenders. I think that you're gonna see this team easily be a top 3 defensive team in the league in defensive efficiency. I can't even say that word. Defensive
hmm.
efficiency. I'm not efficient at saying that word at all, but that's all right. You guys know what I mean. Top 3 team for sure. I do think that they're gonna make a deep playoff run for sure, and I expect them. I expect them to do big things. Definitely over 50, 55 wins this year.
No, for sure. I mean, we've been waiting for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to pull this team together for damn near what 3 years now.
Yeah.
Um, I guess this year's the year.
Let's hope,
we've
man.
been
Let's
we've been
hope.
saying that for every year. But 100%, as long as those two are healthy, then yes, this team makes a deep playoff run. Like you said, they got players everywhere. Great two-way players. Last year, 8 players scored double digits. That team is extremely deep, and that's 8 players scoring double digits without Kawhi Leonard 7 foot on the floor.
That's right. And that's
So
without
and without
Covington
John
and
Wall,
and John Wall, who were both scoring double digits
exactly.
last year, which is crazy.
So they got a very deep team, and obviously, I don't even think John Wall is trying to come, or he's trying to start. At the end of the day, he is a little slower in his age. He don't have the explosiveness that he used to. He's trying to improve as a shooter, um, and he's not the greatest playmaker right now. What the Clippers need, Reggie is providing them. He's providing them with the playmaking responsibilities as well as being a two-way player and having a decent shot. If
Yeah.
I was John Wall, I would be content coming off the bench and just running that second unit. At the end of the day, that's going to be the best for the team. I've been saying that about the Lakers. They should have had Westbrook come off the bench since they got him. It might not be the same situation because Westbrook's still a little bit more active than John Wall. John Wall hasn't played a game in 3 years, which is why it was why I 100% think he should be coming off the bench. Not a game, but played a full season in about 3 years.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so pretty much
See, I
those.
just real quick on that. I kind of think that they're gonna use him more as a pass first, like a pass first point guard. They're not gonna need the scoring from him. So I could see him, if he starts averaging like 7, 8 assists a game, I could definitely see him starting,
I mean,
not getting
that's
many
a.
points.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that's not his game because clearly he's a point guard. It all depends
That
on
is
how
his game though.
willing to work on it. But
Yeah.
I mean, 7, 8 assists, like he's not gonna get that coming off the bench.
No, no, I agree with that. That's what I mean. Like I expect them to use him as more of a pass first point guard, and if he does start during the season, so he's not going to be getting many points. He's going to be getting like 7 to 10 points a game, something like that. But the assist numbers are going to be there because I think the Clippers have a lot more guys that can score on that team. You know,
Yeah, now we'll definitely see. Like
I mean
I felt
he's had seasons where he's averaged 10 assists easily. It's just that on
now
those teams he's had
he
to
was the only option on those teams with
and
the
he's
ball
had
in
to
his
be the
hands.
scoring option as well. Now over here he doesn't, and I think if he focuses a little bit more on those, the passing numbers, then he can really do some damage. Because that's one thing that Reggie Jackson doesn't really have is like, yeah, he's a good playmaker. He can obviously he can get assists because he usually averages around like 5 or 6, but I definitely see John Wall as a better passer than Reggie Jackson.
Well, as I'm saying, his best option and the team's best option for him to get assists is to stay on the second unit. and run the second unit. That's what I'm saying. He's not going to be effective on the court being the third option behind Paul George. Because at the end of the day, Paul George and Kawhi, because if he's trying to get assists, that means he needs the ball in his hands. You're not getting the ball in your hands with that. That's what I'm saying. Like,
So it's
they
usually
don't need,
PG bringing it up, yeah,
that's what I'm
or
saying. They don't need a
Reggie.
lot from Reggie. They
Yeah,
just need him to make a couple plays here and there. So if John Wall wants the best opportunity for him to showcase his skills, it is coming off the bench. At that point, he can average like literally probably 15 points and 8 assists, not six assists,
yeah,
which is not bad. 18 and six
not at
coming off
all,
the bench
bro.
is
That's
not bad at all
that is
on a
not at
loaded team
all.
like that. And
And
I could see him literally average on 15 coming off the bench easily.
and I mean, I think you're totally right. That's the role that Russell Westbrook should have taken last year with the Lakers, and I've said that as well. I think that they should have had him on the bench, started him off on the bench. This year, I don't think he's gonna even touch that, but we'll see. I mean, I still think that John Wall has some left in the tank. Coming
Oh
in
yeah,
later in the season, I think
for
as long
sure.
as he doesn't get injured, I think he's got something left in the tank. You just gotta, you can't have him score or try to score 20 points a game.
Nah.
Keep him at around 10 and let him get those assists. Let him rack up those assists. You know,
Now I would definitely see, but obviously, the thing with the Clippers is they've been beating themselves up for the last 3 years.
facts, injuries.
So it's them overcoming themselves, and pretty much it's all about what they can do there. And as long as everyone's healthy, even if they might lose one guy for a little bit, another guy for a little bit, as long as the playoff run come and they're mostly healthy, then yeah, that's a very deep team.
That's a fact.
They've always been able to be top defensive teams and one of the top shooting teams the last
Yep.
2 3 years since they got Paul George and Kawhi. Even without both of them, they still found ways to find good role players who are 3 and D type of players. That's pretty
Yep.
much all they have. So they'll make a deep playoff run and they'll definitely do some good things.
Yeah. I mean, other than the Warriors, I already said like they're pretty much the deepest team, but other than the Warriors, this is the deepest team to me. The Los Angeles Clippers have the deepest roster, probably an 11-man roster that they could play. Um, and like you said, they got 3 and D guys, and they also got the mid-range game with, obviously Kawhi and Paul George if they needed to.
Hey,
Um,
don't sleep on the Celtics though. We got a deep team.
no, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Y'all got a D team, but we're talking about Western Conference right now,
I
though. So
know
that's
this.
why I
I
was just
know.
talking
I
about the
know.
Western Conference ones. But out of those two, out of the Western Conference for sure, these are the deepest
Yes,
teams
these
for
are the
me.
two deepest. There's
Like
not even
Warriors
teams
and
that come close
Clippers.
to being deep.
Yeah.
Like there's not
Maybe
even teams that come close to being deep.
yeah. Maybe we could talk about like, Memphis later, but that's later on,
I don't
you
even
know.
think they're that deep. I think they're just like, to me they're not deep because they only have like one superstar and a bunch of role players. Like that's
Well,
not
that's what I
deep.
mean by deep. Like they got a deep roster on the bench for role players, you know.
But
So,
yeah, ain't none of them that impressive. And like I said, they only got one superstar, and we seen them fall apart. You
right.
know.
No, they do for
But
sure.
honestly, yeah, I want to move on to another team that we watched fall apart
Yeah,
very
from a team
quickly.
that has a deep roster to a team that doesn't seem like they do.
Yeah, no. So pretty much, and this team is having a lot of internal struggle. The team I'm talking about is the Phoenix Suns. So pretty much, we talked about Luka Doncic and the way he personally dismantled the Phoenix Suns last year in the postseason, and that was a year after they came from the finals, lost to the Bucks, and they pretty much kept damn near the same team, if I'm not mistaken, exactly pretty much the same team when at least it comes to starters and role players, and pretty much had the best record
Yeah.
this
Number
yeah the
one in
best
the
record
in the
for
NBA
number
last
one, yeah.
year.
I think it
Yep.
was a 64 and 18
60.
with the best
Yep.
record,
Exactly.
and pretty much struggled from then on when it came to the playoffs.
Yep.
Um, Obviously they had a good lead on the Mavs. They thought they were winning that, and they pretty much folded. After that, it seemed like the whole team damn near imploded. Chris Paul refused to say anything went wrong. And clearly, a lot of things went wrong. And I'm not even gonna act. I'm not gonna lie. He was dealing with a specific injury during that playoff series. That
Yeah.
obviously he wasn't 100%. You know, I'm not trying to give him an excuse. But at the end of the day, my man is pretty much old. Like he's been in
I
his
mean, it's
17
39 years
years.
old. Ought to
That's
be.
what I'm saying. 17 years in the league. Like he can't keep carrying teams on his own. So now it's relying. The last year was relying on Aiton and obviously Devin Booker. They got the damn money. They literally got their money. They got Ayton with matching Pacers
Matching their
Pacers
offer. Yeah.
matching their offer and kept Ayton,
Yeah.
and they extended Devin Booker for the Supermax deal.
Yep.
So they pretty much put all their future into two guys, one that never shows up in good moments, and another one that doesn't even want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have
That's
no idea what to expect from that team this year. Good other signings. Obviously, they got Damian Lee, Josh Okogie. They traded for Jack Lindell and re-signed Biombo.
yeah.
So they pretty much were able to retain some of their top players, but at this end, like that top three is not even a cohesive. A lot going on internally. One part of that top three, which is probably the best part, is unfortunately injury prone and in the tail end of his career.
Yeah.
So it's just hard because they keep falling apart in the postseason. I can't even blame them for losing to the Bucks. They were just outmatched. But last year was bad. What happened in the offseason didn't seem good. There's a lot of excuses.
Yep.
But obviously they're trying to keep Williams, Booker, and Aiton to make sure they can just keep that core intact. So we'll definitely see what they can do and how many hurdles they can clear this year. And once again, just like the Clippers, those hurdles are themselves.
Yeah, those hurdles definitely themselves, and I think that you know they made a mistake by not re-signing DeAndre Ayton last year before the Pacers made an offer. I feel like they could have got him for a little bit less. They had to overpay him, and now what I predict is going to happen this year, I can possibly see them getting rid of Ayton because there's internal struggles. He's already said that he didn't even come to mini camp or preseason. He didn't play. So now he's back. He actually played in the first game of the season, but with them, it's going to be a problem with them scoring with the bench. That's going to be their biggest problem to me. I think that they got enough scoring, with their top five starters. Obviously they got Booker. Obviously Aiton can score, and so can Chris Paul. And I think either if they start Mikal Bridges or if they even put in, Jay Crowder, either one of those guys could still score. And they're probably going to have Cameron Johnson come in as a small forward as well. So, you know, I think that's a good core as a top five, as their top five guys. But then when you look at the rest of the guys, you don't really get excited, other than Cameron Payne and Landry Shamet. You don't really get excited about the rest of their bench players. They're going to have trouble scoring on the bench. Damian Lee, they needed to pick up because they needed more
Mm-hmm.
scoring on the bench. Biombo's not really known as a scorer. He's known as a rebounder, defender.
Right.
And Dario Saric is probably going to be your other, decent big man scorer. Now, if Josh Okiki, who's their rookie player that they picked up, if he can start scoring on from the bench, I think that he's actually a pretty decent player. I watched him in college. I think that he's a decent player. But other than that, they don't have a deep bench, man. They're gonna have trouble scoring this year. I don't think that they're gonna make it to 60 wins, and I think that they're gonna have trouble making it even to 50 wins because I honestly, I think that by the end of the year, my man, what's his name, Aiton is not going to be on the team no more.
I
And
mean, he's very disgruntled, but that's
yeah,
a hefty price tag. He's not the
that's
first
a fact.
disgruntled superstar that wanted to leave that had to stay a whole season because they're going to ask for a lot for him, and not many teams are going to be willing to give it up.
That's a fact. For me, I see a straight up trade. I'm just putting it out there.
Right.
Projection. Who you got? Projection. Who you got? Prediction. I
For
got
who?
Aiton for Miles Turner, straight up. Indiana Pacers.
That's a
Plus a
waste.
pick. Plus a pick. They're gonna
Yeah,
give
I
up
would
a pick.
say they can't do that.
A pick.
I
It's gonna be
mean,
like a protected pick or something. I don't know, but I think that's a I don't know decent deal. But I just think I see him being disgruntled. I see them not having enough scoring, and I definitely see them not making it past the first round this year. See them making it to the playoffs, but not past the first round.
yeah, no, I definitely see them making it to the playoffs, and depending on if they can finish with a good record or not, I do think they might make it past the first because it might be a lower seed team if they're top two or top three. But if they end up anywhere in the middle and have to face another juggernaut, then yeah, I wouldn't put the series in their favor.
Yeah. So I don't put them as a top four team. I think they're going to be one of the bottom six teams that makes the playoffs. Even in the play-in possibly. So between 5 to whatever 9 or 10, however they do. I think they put in 10 teams this year, like for the play-in now. So
Yeah. But yeah, 100%. I definitely see them being middle of the pack, making the playoffs. Um, but it's so crazy because the next team I want to talk about is almost mirror example of this team. Not a deep team, big three that no one knows what's going on with, and they're pretty much going to be middle of the pack, basically just getting into the playoffs. And if you don't know by that description, you should know I am talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. Um, no one knows what to do at this point. Listen, if they don't even have a healthy big three, they're not even getting to the playoffs. Because at the end of the day,
Wow.
Lonnie Walker, Troy Brown Jr., Damian Jones, Thomas Bryant, Juan Toscano Anderson, Patrick Beverly, Dennis Schroeder, those are not players that's going to carry you to the playoff if you don't have two out of your big three on the court at all times. And truthfully, the two you want is going to be LeBron and AD because Westbrook
Yeah.
is honestly he's only what he's 25 and 30 with just LeBron by himself and 17 and 22 with just Davis by himself. Uh, all three of them, I think they're 11 and 10. Um, only Westbrook without the other two, 0 and 5. So so
So you're
they
right.
have
You need both of those
you
guys. You don't
need
need
both
just
of
Westbrook.
those two, and that's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, if the two main two of that big three isn't consistently healthy this year, it's not going to be a good year for the Lakers. And at this point, I would say they're going to be middle of the pack playoffs, but that's only if they're completely healthy. At this point, they're not even considered a juggernaut. Obviously, when you got talents like LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you can pretty much make a good run. Both can take over a game.
Yeah, for
But I
sure.
just named off a bunch of decent young up and coming players. None of them are good shooters.
Yeah,
None
I
of the
mean,
people I named are they're all average NBA shooters,
I was gonna say other than Schroeder,
and
that's
that's
that's about it.
average. And he's not even like he's
Slightly above average. He's slightly above average. He can shoot pretty well. He can shoot pretty well.
and so basically that's the only consistency they have because at the end of the day, like I understand the type of intensity Patrick brings to the table, Beverly, but
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
is he really gonna do that the other 3 point guards can't offer besides play defense?
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. That's obviously what they brought him in for because they know that Westbrook does not play defense on any point guard. So they needed a guy that can defend the point. Schroeder, he's had defensive problems too. I don't know if you remember when he was on Atlanta, they had problems with him. Even though he was scoring a lot, he always was a defensive liability. So I think Patrick Beverly was actually a great pickup for the Lakers. I think that was probably their best pickup. Yeah, they got
I
Schroeder,
mean, it
but
depends because for me, what's worse than a point guard who can't shoot is 2 point guards who can't shoot.
I don't know, man. If you look at Schroeder's stats throughout the years, he's always averaged over 45, closer to 50%, and especially like his free throw numbers are good as well. He likes to get to the line, so I think that Schroeder is actually a more qualified shooter than Patrick Beverly for sure. And also, I mean, if you're looking at what Russell Westbrook's numbers, then yeah, I think that he's a better shooter than Russell Westbrook as well. Like you can't get much worse than Westbrook numbers as far as a
No, you
point guard.
can't. I'll
So
give it to you. Schroeder was above average. Last year, 2019, he shot 38% for the Thunder. That's above average. Since then, he's been at 33, 34, and 32, which is
that's for
pretty much
threes,
average
right?
for
Those
three.
are all
Yeah,
three
yeah.
numbers, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So 38% definitely. So you're right. He does have that potential. If he get
But
put in a
if you
situation,
look at his twos, like just field goals straight up, he's around like 45, 47%.
yep, 46 is career high that same year in Thunder,
Yeah.
43, 44. Last year with the Rockets, he only played 15 games, so it's hard to judge.
Right. You can't judge that. He was injured
I'm
most of
not
the
even gonna
year,
I'm
and
not even gonna judge that
you,
year.
you
So
you
yeah,
really can't.
so his last good year, which was with the Celtics, 34% from the three, 44 overall, 14 points a game. You're right.
I
That's
mean,
probably their
it's
best
better than
star when it
Westbrook
comes to shooting.
shooting.
Yeah, when it comes to shooting, that's 100% their best option for a consistent shot. You're right.
Def, Definitely more than Westbrook bricking up
Yeah,
two out of every three shots. Like he's averaging 33% right now for the last 2 years that he's been on the
bro.
Lakers. Was starting out this year and then last year. But
I've said it since this man was in OKC before they got rid of Durant. I was like, the man has been statistically the worst 3 point shooter in the fourth quarter for majority of his career. and he takes most of his threes in the fourth quarter.
I don't know
And
why either. Like
I
I
don't
never
get,
understood
and they're
why he
never,
does that.
and the majority of them really don't even be good looking shots. Like
I mean,
he just
because
be
the thing
he
is, the
be
defense
chucking them.
knows. The
They
defense
do.
knows, so then they leave him open, and then he thinks he's open, and then he bricks it, and then he keeps
and
taking that
and
shot.
and then he does that dumbass let me close my feet as close together as possible. Like,
Damn, he
I
does do
fucking
that,
hate
yo.
his little dumbass shooting for him when you know
Damn,
this shit is about to be a fucking like, you know this shit is about to be airball, just the way that motherfucker elbow look. I'm like,
my
yeah.
man trying to click his heels like Dorsey
I swear to God, he does. Like,
trying to wish that ball in.
I've never seen someone squeeze like they're his bro. That's why you can't shoot. You have no foundation, man, and you're not even bending. You just literally and just wonder
You
why
gotta,
that
you
shit
saying he's
hit the
gotta
top
fix
of the
his
back.
shot like 2K. You gotta
He's
fix his
gotta
shot like
fix his
2K.
shot. I could give him a few tips, man. I got a nice shot that I created. I could show him
Change
what
that
it
release, change that height.
is.
Be good, Westbrook.
My man need to mix a little Larry Bird with some Rudy Gay,
Ah,
like
nah,
80,
nah, nah, nah.
83, 83,
Oscar
13,
Robertson and
man. Like,
Steph Curry. Mix those two up. 50-50. Oscar, Steph Curry.
with Montrezl Harrell base. That's what I'm talking
Damn.
about. Either way, he gotta definitely fix it out. But yeah, um, Big Three only played 21 games. Like I said, 11 and 10. They got a lot to figure out this year.
They do. They
This is
do.
actually this episode is gonna be after the NBA season starts, so we actually got the pleasure of seeing the first game against the Warriors, and they
But
didn't look
even if
that
we
great.
did, we were gonna predict the same thing. Even
No,
if we
that's
saw
what,
that game,
and
we would
that's
predict
no,
the
but that's what
exact
I'm
same
saying.
thing.
Like,
Cause
we actually got a little taste,
yeah, because even
and
exactly what I thought before the season started is exactly
but
what happened
I
with this
thought that
Warriors.
last season.
Same
Last
thing.
season I said this was not a good choice. It's not going to work out for them. Westbrook was not a good signing, and I don't care if that's all you can get. That was never a good choice.
See, for me, I just want to take a little different take on this topic because I do agree with most of your points, and I agree with the point that Westbrook was not the right person for this team. I don't think he should have signed there. I thought it should have been when they had a chance to get sorry, I'm forgetting his name. My man who used to be on the the Sacramento Kings.
Healed.
Um, Buddy Hield, thank you, Buddy Hield. Yes, I thought that was going to
Where
be
you
the
want to the
best move.
Pacers, right?
Yeah, he went to the
He went to
Pacers.
the
Yep.
Pacers.
Yep.
Yep.
He went to the Pacers, and I thought that was going to be a great move. He would have been a great scorer, but they didn't get him. But what I'm looking at the Lakers this year, honestly, I do agree with you that if both of those stars go down, AD and LeBron, then they got no chance. They're not
Yeah,
making
for
the playoffs,
extended
just like
time.
last year. No way. But I actually think that they're going to be healthy this year. I see them being healthy. I thought AD took enough time off last year to get himself healthy this year. And I do think LeBron is on a revenge mission a little bit. 20th year in the league. He kind of wants to prove something that he can actually make the playoffs in his 20th year. One of the oldest players to make the playoffs and probably win a playoff series. I actually got them winning at least a playoff series this year and possibly beyond. We'll see. But I think that they're actually gonna make up for a lot of what they did last year with their defense. I think that Patrick Beverly is gonna play a little bit better, and I think LeBron and AD are gonna play better.
I mean, obviously they just got their first game against the Warriors, and while we know the Warriors for the offensive prowess, like at the end of the day, they had a whole season in the NBA championship to prove that they were one of the best defensive team in the league, as well as being one of the best offensive team. So I understand that's only a small window to look at, but AD and LeBron both scored over 30, and they barely broke 100.
That's a
They
fact. They're definitely
they
gonna have
need to find scoring in other places,
they're gonna have
and
problems
Westbrook
with the
isn't
bench.
it. And I'll be honest, I think he needs to come off the bench. I
I totally agree with you.
100% think he needs to come off the bench. I've been saying that since last year. I think they actually publicly flirted with the idea this year, or at the very least,
They
enough
did, and you
rumors
know
have
what he said?
traveled. What's it? Did they talk to him about it?
Yeah, and you know what he said? He was like, I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm not about to do something else. I'm not gonna change my game. That's what he said. I've been doing the same thing for 15 years or 14 years. I'm sorry, she said 14. I've been doing the same exact thing for 14 years. I'm not
That,
about to change my game.
so then do what you're doing on the bench. I don't know what that means.
Literally, that's what like the articles were about. They were like, we don't really understand like what he means by that. Like,
Just do what
you
you
could
like.
still
No
be
one's
doing the
at
same thing. Like, but
literally no. That's literally what we're telling you to do.
some
Do
people like
exactly what you're doing, but do it with the second unit, bro.
see some
Like, that's
people can
exactly.
understand his prowess though, because he does play at 100% all the time, 0 to 100 like all the time, and starting off the game. You can't just like sit on the bench and wait for your turn and then get hyped up all of a sudden. Like you need to be
You
starting
can.
out and playing good.
No, you
We're,
can. You
I
can.
mean, that's his excuse, not mine. That's
Yeah,
what his excuse is. That's what
you
he's
can.
yeah. That's literally like what he's saying. But I totally
Because it's
agree
crazy
with
because he gets put on the bench multiple times a game, comes back out, and goes straight to 100, and then
yep,
turns the ball over
true.
on 100. So,
And then starts taking threes. But I just think that this team is gonna be nice on the defensive side of the ball. Like they did pick up Lonnie Walker, who's a good defender, who
yeah.
when he played in the Spurs. Also Kendrick Nunn is gonna play decent defense. I'm trying to see the two guys that they got in the draft, Scottie Pippen Jr. and my man Max Christie, who a lot of people, didn't think that he should have been the right pick for them, but they picked him up anyways. And I think that these two guys are hopefully going to make some noise by the end of the year. Obviously, as 10th and ninth man rotation players, but they're still
Right.
making some noise. I just expect the Lakers to have way better defense than they did last year. I still expect LeBron to score around 30, and same with AD. So I think that they're going to win more games than not. I expect them to win more than 45 games, around 45 to 50 games.
I mean, they'll be close. Like I said, definitely playoff run for sure. Definitely in the playoffs above playing tournament. But that's only if those top two are healthy consistently throughout this year. The second they both go down or one of them go down for a long period of time, I don't have no more faith in them. I
Yeah,
don't have faith in LeBron and Westbrook or AD and Westbrook.
I feel you
I
on
have
that.
faith in AD and
All three of
LeBron.
them. Yeah,
Nah, I don't
that
even
too,
need
or that too.
Westbrook. I don't even need Westbrook. I just have faith in AD and LeBron.
Damn, that's sad. That's sad. You don't even need him on the squad no more. Just get rid of him.
Nah. He could come work for me. He could do payroll for a living.
Damn.
We'll pay him. We won't pay him the millions he's getting, but at least he could feel useful.
Damn. Nah, I think this team is going to be a top 4 team this year. I expect them making a push to the top 4 seed, possibly just the 4th seed
Yeah, I need a lot more to see from them before I see that.
for sure. I just need to see them be healthy. That's all. As long as they're healthy, then they can make it to that spot to me. But
Yeah.
going from one team that is hoping to be in that top 4 spot to another team that out of nowhere last year they made it to the top 4 spot and beyond. I think they were 3rd in the rankings last year, just below the Suns and the
And I
Warriors.
think they
Right?
were second most of
I'm
the
sorry, they
year.
were 2nd. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, yeah, because Warriors moved down to 3rd. That's right. So it was Suns, Grizzlies, and Warriors last year, and the Warriors made it to the 2nd seed last year. I'm sorry, keep messing it up. The
Grizzlies.
Grizzlies made it to the 2nd seed
Who are we
with
talking
their
about, man?
superstar, the Grizzlies, baby, the Grizz. Obviously, their superstar John Morant been balling out. Most improved player last year. I don't know how he got that award because he was in the
You
MVP
can't
running
be
as
in an
well.
MVP, like, bro. That shit pissed me off so much. Like, and here's the thing: he didn't improve that much.
Yeah, I agree. Like 10, maybe like 9 points, but there was other
Like,
guys
there
that
was some
deserved it.
other people who like clearly improved. Like, yeah, bullshit, but whatever.
I agree.
Politics.
But now, I mean, Morant and they're trying to show out this year. Obviously, they got one of the youngest coaches in the league. Actually, I think he is the youngest coach in the league right now. So what do you really expect from them, the Grizzlies, this year?
I mean, the big question is Jaren Jackson Jr. He's gonna start. He looks like he's gonna be out for a while with injuries, and no one knows how long he's coming back. And at the end of the day, they showed that they can win without John Morant,
Right.
um,
Right.
and be contenders. But I'll be honest, that's a big difference than having that defensive hole. When it comes to blocking, because he was almost defensive player of the year
Yep.
potential.
Yep.
Obviously the pick and rolls being a presence down there, even decent in steals. And like end of the day, Memphis led the leagues in shots,
Mhm.
rebounds, offensive boards, steals, and blocks.
Ambulance. Yep.
And that was a big part to
Wild.
him. That was a
Wow.
big part to him. They also led the league at points in the paint, second chance points. That's a big part to him.
For sure. I think he had the most offensive rebounds last year. If you look at his offensive rebound, he was number 1 in the league.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of their top stats is gonna take a huge hit because of him. I mean, obviously, they got things like fast break points that you can attribute to John Morant.
For
You
sure.
know,
For sure.
being
Him and
second
Dylan
in field
Brooks.
goals,
Yeah.
scoring average, third in pace, you can attribute to John Morant. But at the end of the day, you also had a very mobile big in Jaren Jackson Jr. doing that along with you. Like now, at the end of the day, Zaire Williams, Xavier Tillman, those are going to be the people that's going to take that hole.
Yeah, like right now they got Steven Adams starting, and then Tillman pretty much at the 4 or 5
Yeah, so
whenever
that's what I'm
Steven
saying.
Adams
It's
is
gonna
not
be
in there.
Tillman and Zaire Williams basically taking over the minutes that Jaren Jackson had. They're
Yeah,
nowhere
yeah,
near the
yeah.
offense or defensive have the offensive defensive prowess that he does.
Also Brandon
Together,
Clark though.
they don't.
Brandon
I
Clark is
feel like
nice.
he already has his role though.
He does. He
Like
does.
he already has his role, so I don't think they expect him to. Obviously, everyone got to step up because of the injury, but I'm speaking like when it comes to Williams and Tillman, they're going to be the ones specifically filling in that hole, those minutes, and expected to have those
Gotcha.
responsibilities. And I don't
Yeah.
think they have the talent for that. So like that's what I'm saying. It's crazy as it sound, and it don't sound crazy because the records prove it. Like losing Jaren Jackson Jr. is actually a lot more detrimental to this team than losing John Morant. Because at the end of the day, he's like I say, he's like their. I don't want to sound over dramatic, but in the context of he's the glue to that team, he's their Draymond Green.
I agree with you. I think he's their best rebounder,
He's
their
their
best
best. He's their
blocker, their
best in a
best
lot of
defender.
things.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He's the best in a
Like
lot of things, and I know I'm gonna spend most of the time talking about Jaren Jackson Jr. But like I said, for me, the Grizzlies season is gonna be so dependent on when he comes back and how good they play without him. 56 and 26 record is not gonna be easily attainable this year, like it was last year without him missing. So that's what I think. Obviously, John Moran's gonna do his thing. He's gonna be in the MVP voting. He's gonna have a
think so.
way.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's
Nice.
definitely gonna be in the MVP, especially now with Darren Jackson gone most of the year. He's
Yeah,
gonna
good point. That's a good
he's
point.
gonna pretty much get a little bit more, like he's gonna take more of that
More
responsibility.
shots. Yeah.
Exactly. With his explosiveness, he's really gonna try to get in the paint and really try to do what he can do. So yeah, so we definitely got at least 4 to 6 months without Jackson. So I think John Morant's gonna do real good. But I also think their offensive and defensive ratings are gonna take a hit. So I think that they still make a deep playoff run.
Yeah.
They still do high standings even without Jaren Jackson Jr. for most of the year.
Right.
Um, Obviously, like you mentioned, they got some pesky guards and forwards and Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, and Desmond Bain, who all took steps last year to improve. And some of those could have been way better contenders for most improved player than the actual star of that team. How do you be a star and be most improved?
I never
Like
heard of
you,
that
like it's
ever.
never.
That's
It
the
still
first
drives me
first
crazy.
time. It drives me crazy too, but
Just
it's
talking
wild.
about it.
But you
Just
know
literally
what
thinking
though?
about it. I'm
Now
like,
now
Dylan Brooks could have been most improved last year,
and
100%.
and that's what I was just gonna say. Now that I'm thinking about it, now that Jaren Jackson's out and you got all these other guys that are gonna need to step up minutes, I could possibly see another guy from Memphis being in that conversation of most improved. Like, I
This
mean,
year,
I know
yes.
you said this Xavier Tillman doesn't have the talent, nearly the talent that you need to be a great defender like Jaren Jackson is or a great rebounder. But if he takes a step up, he could possibly be in that conversation. And same with a guy like Brandon Clark. I really think Brandon Clark
Yes.
is gonna take over that role with rebounding, and I still think they're gonna be an amazing rebounding team. Still having Brandon Clark in there, and obviously Steven Adams is known for rebounding the ball, getting like 12 rebounds a game. I do think that they're going to be a top rebounding team. As far as the defensive stats, I totally agree with you. They're going to take a big step down, a huge step down whenever they're playing against like some amazing bigs like Giannis, like DeAndre Ayton, even. They're going to have problems with that for sure. But other than that, on the offense, they're going to be playing great. John Morant scoring over 29, easy. I think Dylan Brooks is going to be balling out. They got Danny Green, who's a 3-and-D guy, and obviously they still got Desmond Bain, who showed that he could be a second fiddle to John Morant last year. Very surprisingly, not a lot of people looked at Desmond Bain as a second option, but last year he kind of proved that he can do it. And I really think this team has like some upside, but as far as their defensive stats, I totally agree with you that they're going to take a step down, and that's why I had the Lakers moving into that fourth spot, and I have this team moving out of that top four placement in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be a top four team, but I do see them making the playoffs this year.
Just depending on Lakers injuries, I see them being a top four team because they actually, let me see. We got Suns, we got Warriors, Clippers,
You gotta choose your fourth.
Yeah, it's gotta be dumb basically
Yeah.
if the Lakers aren't healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's between them and the Lakers for that four because obviously we're gonna talk about some of these teams in a minute. But we don't know what to expect from the Nuggets yet, and the Jazz clearly took a hit in a lot of
Okay.
places.
That's a
So
fact.
yeah, so I would definitely say that they're gonna be top four, but like they've overachieved on the expectation the last 2 years. This year we expect it, and I think they're gonna fall short.
Yeah.
And that's just for the sole fact they're missing a key piece. At the end of the day, you've shown that you're better than most average teams in the West, but you still shown that you're the little brother to those top three contenders that you can't get by.
That's a fact. That's a hundred
And
percent
this is
fact.
this year without Jaren Jackson Jr., they're not getting by those same contenders.
That's a fact. And
And
one of those
truthfully, now you got a
contenders.
healthy Clippers to worry about. So like
That's
we'll
that's that's
definitely see.
again.
So I
Exactly.
definitely got them
Exactly.
going in the playoffs, maybe making a run, winning the first round, depending on who they face if they get to third or fourth. Um,
Wow.
but
So
I
you see
don't.
them top four. Wow.
Well, it
Wow.
all depends. 'Cause like last year, we didn't see them second. They ended up second.
Not at all. I agree with you, but I mean that was with Jaren Jackson. I definitely see him
Yeah,
taking a
nah,
step
they'll
down
definitely
this
be
year,
like. But I
and
was saying like give the Lakers one injury,
that's
and
for sure.
literally this Grizzly team is
That's for
better
sure.
than the Lakers team without LeBron.
That's for sure. But I'm just predicting as the way that I'm seeing it now,
Right. So yeah, I'll
with
give them
whatever
five.
I'm seeing now. Yeah. Um, and honestly, that's a good point that you made. That like other teams definitely made steps up, and I only have three of my top four so far because I didn't have the Suns in there. I had the Warriors, I had the Clippers, and the Lakers, and those are three of my top four teams. And I'll tell you, my fourth one is going to be a surprise for sure for a lot of people. But let's go from this Grizzlies team where we think they took a step up to another team that took a huge step down and honestly had like a wholesale on their squad, bro. The
They
Utah
had to.
Jazz. The Utah Jazz let go of everybody, man. Like for
They
real.
had to. And crazy because Danny Ainge went in there and cleaned house.
Yeah. Yep.
And as a Celtics fan, I know very well how he operates. I think he's a very efficient CEO. He's known around the league for never taking losses on deals, and it may have
Yep.
gotten him not that greatest reputation between owners. But at the end of the day, if he's part of your organization, he's gonna find a way to get the best out of what you need. But like you said, pretty much wholesale. Uh, they ended up always being in playoff contention, somewhat deep playoff runs. But last year with the first round of Dallas, they just couldn't deal with it no more,
Nope.
especially because it was verbally and just like so clearly established that your top two stars don't care for each other. Especially it's not even that it's established on the court. You could see it as well. Like Donovan Mitchell rarely, and I literally mean rarely, ever passed the ball to Rudy Gobert. And
That's true, bro. That's so
they didn't
true.
even
Yeah.
have sets that relied on each other or anything like that. It's like they basically operated solo from
It
each
was
other.
it was literally like, yeah, one man show. Like whenever Rudy would get the ball like in the post, he would have it for like 14 seconds out of the shot clock. Or whenever obviously Donovan Mitchell wanted to take the ball up and he wouldn't really pass, he would go ISO. That's so
Oh
true.
yeah. So obviously they clean house and it looks like they're back in the rebuilding phase. Shipped off Gobert to Minnesota. Got Jared Vanderbilt, Walker Kessler, Malik Beasley. Patrick Beverly was part of that deal. But
That's not even the
obviously
best thing they got. They
oh
got
yeah, four first
five
round picks.
five future first round picks, which is
Yeah.
insane. That's
Well, from this
insane.
trade, it was four first round picks.
I thought it was
Yeah, I
one
think
conditional as well. Like there was or four regular and one protected. I thought
I,
wasn't it five first round picks?
yeah, I was about to say I don't think so.
What was
No, because
the
that was no for Mitchell.
right? What was the trade for Mitchell, real
For
quick?
Mitchell, they got Lowry, Ochaya, three unprotected first round picks, and two future picks for swaps in 2026 and 2028. So that's what it was. The Mitchell trade, they got three more unprotected first
Oh,
round
okay,
picks.
yeah.
So they're
That's right.
basically trading both of those. Also, when they picked up Beverly, they sent Beverly off for Taylor Horton Tucker and Stanley Johnson. So they pretty much got a rebuilding phase of like Jared Vanderbilt, Walker Kessler, Malik Beasley,
Lake Beasley.
Taylor
Yep.
Horton Tucker, Stanley Johnson, Laurie Markkinen, Ochaya Agbaji,
He still
Kelly
got some young
Olynyk,
guys actually. Like
Saben Lee, basically all to go with the veteran core of Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, and Rudy Gay. So not the worst team, and obviously 7 first-round picks to go with it.
right,
So
right, which is insane.
wholesale, that was a good sell.
Oh,
You
I totally
sold
agree. I totally
two
agree.
players, which basically was 3 because you ended up making Beverly one of those players when they got Horton Tucker and Stanley. So you basically got rid of 3 players, 4, because they did get rid of Boban. They got rid of Bojan too.
Yeah, they did.
Bogdanovich.
They
They
did.
got rid of him for Olynyk. So they basically
Kelly
got
Olynyk,
rid
yeah.
of 3 of the top players and got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7 picks. You're right, because they got 4 for the Rudy Gobert trade with 1 top 5 protected pick, which is the 29th, and then they got 3 um for the trade over to Cleveland.
7 picks, 9 picks because they got the other 2
By
swaps.
their own
9
swaps. They
picks
got their own swaps as well. And what's
and
crazy
7
is
players.
I actually think that they're gonna get more picks because I expect Mike Conley to get traded this year. I expect
Yeah,
him to get traded by the
those are
end of the
short
year.
term. Like literally, Mike Conley. That's why I saved them for last. Cause Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, and Rudy Gay are all on the chopping block. They're not
Ex-
expected to stay, and no one expects them to be the corner pieces of anything moving forward.
Now I
So
will say
literally,
Danny Ainge made amazing trades. He definitely, to me, so far, I would say I can't say that he won it yet because we don't know what the picks are gonna be. But to get those amount of picks, like you know me, man, I've always been a fan of the trust the process over there in Philadelphia. The
but
more
not even
first round
trust the
picks you can
pro.
get.
No, think about that. What he did or what he's going to do with them is exactly what he did with us. That's how we got
True,
Robert Williams. That's how we got
true.
Jason Tatum. That's how
Well,
we
that's a
got
fact.
Jalen Brown.
You guys got rid of Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen at the
Got
perfect
all
time.
those future round picks. Like basically that whole trusted process bullshit they try to sell you in Philly. Boston did it successfully with Danny
Boston
Ainge.
did it
Now
way
he's
better.
literally about to do the same thing with the Jazz. And
Boston
he's
did it
gonna
so
do it
good.
better. He's gonna do it better with the Jazz right
You
now.
know how good Boston did it? Boston did it so good that they were in the Western Conference, or sorry, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals one year, and they had the second pick overall to pick up Jalen Brown that one year.
Literally.
That's how good they were. That's
That's
how
what I'm
good
saying.
Danny Ainge is. So I agree with you there. I think that he made some. I think that he won that trade.
Yeah.
7 first round picks. I mean, I think he won that trade. It obviously depends where the picks are going to land. If he's going to get a top 5 pick easily in the next few drafts, you got some talent, bro. Even if he gets like a 1 or
But they
2,
are. This is lottery season. They're not winning nothing. And it's not even them trying to tank. They're
and
just
that's
they're
that,
not winning nothing.
and that's what I was just gonna say. I honestly don't expect them to be the worst team. Like, yeah, I agree with you. They're not winning nothing. They're not making the playoffs. Definitely not.
Right.
They are gonna trade Mike Conley, but for what he got back a lot of young guys. Nickel Alexander Walker. Like, he got some young guys that were obviously they could play. Like Jared Kessler, he can play.
Decent role
Vanderbilt.
players.
You're totally right. 100% right. But do I see them as the worst team in the league? No. I still think they're gonna win like 20, 25 games. Uh, be like bottom 4, but not the worst team.
I mean, we all know what's the worst team in the West, so they're not going to come close to that. But they're not going to be contending either. But at this point, I don't think they're going to measure their success this year by how many games they win or lose. They just know that they need to evaluate their progression, evaluate their growth, develop those young players. And Danny Ainge and the Jazz are trying to put a good development team together. And obviously, it's just going to be a good team to watch when it comes to what they got planned for the next few years. And pretty
Yeah.
much between now and the next 7 years,
Mhm.
they got 18
Yep.
first
Until
round picks.
2029. Until
Until
2029.
2029, they have 18 first round picks. And that's the thing. You don't need all of them. Like, you gotta remember, like, as a Celtics
You
fan,
could
I
always trade up.
understand. That's what I'm saying. Like, we traded down from the first. We had the first pick when they picked Lonzo Ball, the Lakers. We traded down to the third because we got our guy. Like, Danny Ainge is gonna make sure he don't just use all those picks. Like, Philly wasted so many picks. How many years they
True.
drafted center after center after center, and none of them worked out. But Joel Embiid, and he barely worked
I
out.
know you
And I
glad
only
you
say
guys didn't pick
barely.
up Markel Fultz. I know that.
That's what I'm saying.
So high. I know you're so high.
We always picked our guys, and that was because of Danny. Like, he didn't, so he's not gonna just waste those 18 picks. He's
Definitely
gonna
makes the
use
right
them
move.
when he needs them, find the right players when he wants the right players, or trade and get the right pieces when he needs it. So those 18 picks in the next 7 years is going to turn to. And that's the thing. Like as a Celtics fan, I was blessed to be able to watch Jason and Jalen grow when no one knew how good they were going to be.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
personally did.
Honestly,
I'll be honest. I slept on Jalen Brown. I
oh,
wasn't the
I didn't.
biggest
I
fan in
thought,
UCLA, and
yo, I was.
you know
I
why? That
was.
was the same draft we had Buddy Hield.
I remember, and
In my in
I
my
said
head,
to
I was like, we wanted a shooter, and we needed a shooter.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And
See, for
so,
me, like I love Jalen Brown's game because he reminded me of Kobe so much back in the day. I know now, obviously, Tatum reminds you of Kobe really because the way he plays and because he got trained from him. But back then, the way the Jalen Brown played, he reminds you of Kobe doing those turnaround jumpers. You know, obviously he can jump a little bit higher, but I remember in that draft, I was saying that I thought that Brown should have been number 1 overall. He should have got picked number 1, but obviously Philly fucked up there, picked up Markelle Fultz.
I mean, at this point, both of them shown that they basically were the top people in their draft, and they were the second and third pick. And like I said, we had the first pick in one draft and traded down to the third to get Jason. So I definitely think that they're gonna have a lot of good talent play together, and I think it
So
might
what you're
not be
saying
exactly.
is, you think the Jazz are tanking for Victor Wembanyama?
Nah, they don't have to. They're just gonna
They
be
don't
that
have to.
bad.
You're right. I agree with you. They don't have to. They can actually make some good
That's what
moves.
I say. They're gonna try
Yeah.
to make. They're not gonna make no moves to get
No, not
better
yet.
this
Not
year.
yet. But
Any moves they make this year will be for long term, and this year is just about development, really getting those players some good coaching, trying to just develop it because some of these players are going to be crucial on getting signed. For cause think about
oh,
it,
that's true. Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah. I mean,
didn't like we
Vanderbilt's a
didn't
decent player. Like
exactly.
Nickel
Laurie
Alexander
Markkinen might be
Walker.
a crucial piece,
Yes.
and he's still got a couple years left.
Yeah.
Kelly Olynyk is kind of on the older side, but he might be a good backup.
Yeah.
Taylor Horton Tucker, Staley Johnson still have some upside left.
I
It's
still
just
see
they have
what I
to
see
offer
happening.
Malik
Honestly.
Beasley.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you out. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Malik Beasley as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, see what I see happening real quick is I honestly see them making a great pick at the end of this year. Whatever happens this year, if they're a lot, obviously I think they're gonna be a lottery pick team, probably a top 5 pick easily. So let's say they possibly pick up a guy like Scoot Henderson, who's looking like the number 2 overall guy in this draft, and then they still have those other picks in the next 6 years. They could package up those picks and get a superstar if they wanted to.
Hmm.
Let's say there's a disgruntled superstar with 2 years left on his contract, 3 years left on his contract. I could see Danny Ainge doing that because he's done it before. Like they did a sign and trade for Kyrie.
I'm about to say we got Kyrie. A lot of people don't realize, but if KD didn't go to the Warriors, he was coming to Boston.
That's a fact.
Like we were this close to signing a couple different options. We almost had AD. So at the end of
That's
the
a
day,
fact.
when
He
you
was looking at
when you
AD.
take your time and put those pieces together, all you're missing is that one or two superstars. Those superstars don't mind coming to pretty much an already made team of role players
Exactly.
with a good potential. Like they could sign for a couple years. That give them a couple years to get another superstar. They still got
Exactly.
some good draft picks. Like it's gonna be a good situation. And while it's not gonna be as easy as Boston was because of the historic franchise and just Boston's a little bit of a better city and state than trying to live in Utah. Um,
I don't
but
know, man. Your money will
it,
go a lot longer in Utah than in
and that's
Boston.
what I'm saying. They
Like, I
they
don't
they
know.
they found a way to keep Donovan and Rudy for 5+ years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But they just
well,
couldn't make it
5 years.
happen. They
They
couldn't
couldn't
push
make that
that.
happen. So they definitely will be able to get some things going out there. So I'm excited for the next couple of years, but they're definitely going to be a lottery pick this year.
That's for sure. I totally agree with you. Lottery pick, possibly a top 5 pick. And honestly, I think the future is very bright for them.
Oh yeah.
Definitely one of the brightest teams, along with the Thunder, who have another like 12, 13 picks in the next
Oh
4 years,
damn.
first round
Damn
picks.
Shat.
Those 2 teams are literally set on first round picks. They have like
Oh yeah.
half the league's first round picks, like for real. But I mean, going from a team that, in the Jazz that's looking kind of terrible to a team that a lot of people are looking for a lot of upside. They got 3 first round picks that, are trying to make noise in Jokic, Murray, and Porter Jr., who's trying to come back from, those injuries that he's always had. I'm talking about the Denver Nuggets. They got a mini big 3. I guess you can call it a mini big 3, but none of these 3 guys can be healthy on the floor together. What do you expect from the Nuggets this year? And obviously the reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, obviously it all depends on their health. At the end of the day, uh, Jamal Murray, we last seen him in the bubble, was playing amazing basketball, and we all know the upside that Marco or MPJ have. But he's just too injury prone, and obviously we got Nikola Jokic, who's pretty much back to back MVP. So they are a big three. They just haven't been able to get one. They haven't got any time together as a big three. The only time they
Agree.
gotten was the last year Jamal played, which was Michael Porter rookie year, which he wasn't nothing compared to what he is now. Like he had no real growth, didn't have no good playing time, still facing injuries. But at the end of the day, they definitely have a lot of lofty goals this year. They do expect some upside from other people on that team. Definitely expecting a lot more from Aaron Gordon after they sign him, and obviously they do think that Bones Highland is another big piece to their team and part of their core. Pretty much, we got to see what Malone is going to do this year when it comes to the Nuggets. They always are a great regular season team, but don't do well when it comes to pretty much going far in the playoffs. I'll be honest, maybe the bubble year, I can't remember, but have they even made it to the conference finals?
Uh, they no, you know what? They have. Oh no, they did one year. I think they made it
I
to the
think the
conference finals with
bubble.
Jokic. It was the bubble year. Correct.
I think it was
It
the
was
bubble
with the
year.
Suns. Yes.
Jamal Murray was
Right.
playing out of his mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah,
No, it was Lakers. Lakers Nuggets. You're right.
Lakers. Those Lakers.
Lakers
The
Nuggets.
Lakers, the 1-0. Yeah.
It
Okay.
was. Yeah. Because
So yeah.
Jamal Murray was balling out.
So obviously that they definitely, that's the same. Jamal Murray was just looking fantastic. A couple 50-point games,
Mm.
like he was just looking good. So one, is he gonna be that Jamal Murray again? Because that
Hmm.
was the closest they got to the finals. And like I said, you had to have him play like he was literally playing like out of his mind.
Yep.
Are they gonna get that Jamal Murray again? Obviously, at some point, even though we understand what he offers, and we understand the efficiency, at some point, are we gonna get more from Jokic? Is this his
More?
peak?
You want more from Jokic? Like how much
And
more?
what I mean more, maybe I mean different.
My man is almost averaging a triple double with 30 points a game. Like,
But where's that getting you? And that's my whole
nah,
point.
I get you. I
I
get you.
may I may not mean more, but when I mean more, I mean different.
I'm just messing with you.
No,
I
I
get it.
know,
I
and as I
get it.
said, it's hard to say more because we understand what he gives you. And he had, I think last year he had the most efficient season ever.
Yeah, he
Like
did. Like
that's
literally
what I'm
most
saying.
efficient in the NBA ever. So how can
It's
he get
crazy
like
to
you want
say,
more?
but we need something else. And it's crazy is because you. It's not that we need something else from the team. Like that's basically what it comes to superstars. Like if he don't find a way to pull something else, and it sucks. I don't want to blame him,
Right.
but he,
I don't think that he's to blame. I'll be honest. Like, if
no,
you're
he's
looking
not.
for
He's
anyone
not
to
to
give you more,
blame. It's not to blame, but
well,
but at the end of the day, like last year, they became very one dimensional.
I agree. Totally agree with you. But I'm saying if you're looking for anyone to give you more, it's got to be Porter.
No,
Porter's got to be the
100%
one
the
to give
first,
you more.
and for me, Gordon. Don't you didn't say like I
Yeah.
don't know why you
Yeah.
gave him that money just for
Yeah.
a person who used to be able to dunk. 'Cause that's
True.
what the fuck he is. A
But that money
person
doesn't
who
look that
used
bad
to be
now.
able to dunk.
That
Nah,
money,
he gave him some good consistent points in playoff runs when no one else stepped up, and I'll give him that. But
yeah,
he
like
can't be your
they're
number
only
two.
paying him 4 years to $80 million. If you're looking at like Poole's contract or Wiggins' contract, that's not looking that bad now.
No, it's not. So yeah, definitely Porter got to give you more. But what I mean by more for Jokic, I definitely mean different because they have to figure out a different scheme because the
Yeah,
NBA's figured them out.
that's a good
It's been
point.
that's
That's
what
a
and
great
that's
point.
what it came down to. Last year, the Warriors demolished their scheme,
Hmm.
and pretty
Yes.
much like Jokic is gonna get his
Yeah.
38 and 9. He's gonna get it.
Yep. That's literally
But
That's what the Warriors did. They let him go, and then they pretty much covered everybody else.
and as a superstar, if that's your team, like you have to take it upon yourself to give them a different look. But that's what I'm saying. Do he have a different look? Like,
It's
are
gonna
they
be
gonna keep
tough.
feeding him the ball in the post and like it's crazy because like you're probably thinking like what more do you want from him? What else do you want from him? I don't know. But
I
clearly
get
the
it.
rest of the league has
I
figured
just
it out.
I
And
get
it's
that.
crazy because I'm the same way about Giannis. Giannis technically hasn't figured out his prime, but he needs to give us something else
Mm.
to make it to that next level.
Well,
And I
see,
don't understand like you got
I
two.
think a guy like Giannis can add something like the three
Oh,
point
he could
to his,
shoot. That's what I'm saying.
you
He can
know,
add something, but at the end of the
but
day, that means Jokic can too. He could be a better defender. He
Yeah,
can.
that's literally
There's
what I
things
was
that
gonna
he can
go.
add. There's things
That's
he can
exactly what
add,
I was gonna go. It's like
but we need something different.
the only thing that like really he can get better at is blocking. Like really, like his blocking is okay, but it's not great. Like he averages like 1.5 a game, but if he
Hey,
can
and
get
I
like
understand he's not the most
2.5, but
athletic, but you love
nah, he
showing us
can't
you
jump.
party. You love showing
Can't
us you
jump.
partying back in Serbia. My man, why don't you put on some ankle weights and do some exercises?
But you know what? With the Nuggets, I think that they did make a good backup pickup for the center. If let's say Jokic misses some time or he just needs some minutes off, and you need a defender, they got DeAndre Jordan. I think he's a
Yeah.
decent rebounder and a decent defender as far as the center position goes. Now, the one problem I have with the Denver Nuggets, as well as like I have with a few other teams in the West, man, they're gonna have a problem shooting the ball with their bench. Like they don't have much good bench shooters other than Ish Smith. He's probably their best shooter. Obviously, we're gonna see what happens with Bones Highland. He's gonna be, another guy that's gonna probably be a big piece in the on the bench role for them. But those are the only two guys. Other than that, like I don't see them having much depth on their squad.
So yes and no. They don't have too much depth, but just what Jokic alone, without Murray and Porter, with just Jokic alone, this team is built to win 50 plus games.
So you
But the
got them winning
problem,
50 this year at least.
at least, and that's without Murray or Porter. Like they've done it already,
They have.
basically
No, I,
last year.
I totally agree with you. I just think
But they're
this
not gonna
year,
win a playoff series with
yeah,
that team. Like that's a regular
people
season
figured them
team,
out.
and they need Porter Jr. and Murray to both be not only there but effective and efficient in a playoff series. Like they have to be a factor in the postseason for the Denver Nuggets to make a run. So I'll give them playoffs. But depending on who they're facing, let them face the Warriors the first round. It's over.
Yeah,
Like
I totally
depending
agree
on if
with
they get
that
like sixth
assessment.
place and they have to face the Warriors or the Clippers and they're like
And
at full strength, yeah, it's over.
exactly where I was gonna go. See, I don't see them being a top 4 team. I think they're gonna be exactly where they were last year, and they were sixth last year, and I think they're gonna be exactly that this year.
Hmm.
Honestly, they're gonna be a sixth or seventh team this year.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, and that's the first
no
round
higher than
exit.
that. That's the first round exit. They're gonna have to play a tough team. I think that unless like one of the guys, either Jokic, I don't know how he can take a step up, but maybe you're right. Maybe he can. But if Michael Porter doesn't take a step up, then
It's
I,
over.
I don't see them doing nothing in the
Yeah.
playoffs. That is, yeah. And honestly, I think that they're gonna need to make some trades. Maybe at the end of the year, if it doesn't work out, possibly give up Murray. I don't know if Jokic is gonna even want to stay there any longer, and keep losing in playoff series.
Nah, I don't think they give up Murray because they know their best chance is him being there, and they just haven't had a chance for him to be there in 2 years. So I don't think if anyone leaves, that they're not definitely they're not breaking up those two,
I don't
and I
know
don't
if he
think they're
if he
breaking
keeps
up those three. If
if
he
he
starts
keeps
getting
getting
injured
injured,
again, then
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If he keeps
But
getting
we'll
injured,
see this year.
yeah, that's
But
true.
it's definitely gonna be something to watch. At the end of the day, they might have to take the opportunity and do what this next team did, even though it's barely been done in the last 15 plus years, which is get two centers. And who knows? We'll see how well that works. And clearly, I'm talking about the Timberwolves. Minnesota Timberwolves went and was one of the teams that gave away an arm and a leg, and another arm, and some guts, and two toes, and a nose, and an ear, and an eye for Rudy Gobert.
Well, they
Because it
sold their
makes
whole
no
future.
sense how much they gave away from him. Just to pretty much put a defensive monster with offensive liability next to your offensive monster with defensive liability of a center. So basically, they paid all that much to basically put two positions out there to play one person. That's literally
Hey
what they
man,
did.
they got like a two-headed monster over there, like literally a chimera. Like they got to put them all together, and then they could finally get the perfect center that they always wanted, the Shaq, or like
Exactly.
literally, that's what they
So
want.
we'll see. Twin Towers hasn't been seen since basically Mikael Parrish, Duncan
Duncan,
Robinson,
I was gonna
Elijah
say
One
Duncan Robinson.
Sampson.
Yep,
Those are the last
point,
couple really big,
point.
top two center duels and power forward duels. It hasn't been done in a while because it's a guard and forward league, and the whole league itself, including big men themselves, have gone small. Not only do you have one of the most the hugest big man right now in the game. Like no one's taller really when it comes to Rudy Gobert. I mean, I think Boban
Yeah,
is, but
7'4", Rudy or sorry, he's 7'3", Boban 7'5". So yeah, you're right. And
That's just
obviously
about it.
you got Bol that's up there.
Right, but I don't even count them because they're not at the elite level of play that
Yeah,
Rudy
yeah,
is.
yeah.
When it comes
I
to
like Rudy.
efficient top center, no one's as tall as him. And at the end of the day, both of them, when it comes to Cat and Rudy, are kind of very unathletic. Cat is a lot more mobile as a big man, and obviously it's gonna work for them because they're gonna try to do what they need to do. Rudy Gobert is gonna run the post, run the paint, give that
Yep.
defensive presence that Cat can cut it. Cat is gonna be at this point be able to stay outside, shoot his threes, take more shots, and don't have to worry about playing defense.
Mm.
We are, and that's why I said with the athleticism, the reason why I want to bring that up because that's going to be tested. He's a mobile big, but he needs athleticism to be covering the perimeter like they're gonna force him to do. Imagine a cat having to
True.
stick Jason Tatum at the 4 all game. He's gonna have problems. Imagine Cat trying to stick. I mean, at the end of the day, he might not even. He's too small to stick Giannis and too slow to stick KD.
Yeah,
That's a problem.
I think that's a problem too.
So we're gonna. That's what I'm saying. It's not just the mobile. He needs to be athletic.
Hmm.
He needs to be athletic, and he, that man is like he got like 2 left feet. I don't know what to tell you. Um, so
That's why he likes
they
staying at the three and shooting those 3-point shots. He
and
doesn't
that's what
like
I'm
banging
saying. He
inside. No.
don't. He don't. So they have a way to make it work basically on paper and in theory, but how well that's actually going to work, we'll see. With that involved, is that even enough to get them to a deep playoff run, say a conference title or the second round? How much of a season how good of a season is Anthony Edwards going to have? Like we're
Right.
all not really but the team is now looking for him to take a step up. He's that certified leader, and I'll be honest, he's gotten himself into some trouble recently.
Yep.
So I know that they're basically trying to like push him to understand that you're the leader of this team
Right.
on and off the court.
You're gonna be the face of the team.
You're the face of the team. So they're looking for a lot from him this year when it comes to him understanding that it's his team, and that means on the court as well. Obviously, your boy D'Lo is too slow and needs to go. I don't know what's going on with him, but I
I
think
like
he's
that.
on his way out of there. That's the one person that's going to be on the chopping block. At this point, they don't have nowhere to
You know
send
what?
him.
That right there, that point, I 100% agree with, and I'm gonna predict that with you, along with you. I agree with you.
Because I
I
think
think
they can get pieces for him, and at this point, they need
exactly.
depth. So I think you're right. I think D'Lo is the first person to go, and you're right. I actually do, and I will make the prediction, the who you got prediction that D'Angelo Russell gets traded this year before the
I
trade
totally
deadline.
agree with you. I totally agree with you. I think
Yeah,
that's a great point. I think D'Lo is too slow, like you said. That was dope. I like that. D'Lo too
yeah.
slow needs to go.
Yeah, that boy is a liability on defense, and he's not as consistent as he used to be on offense, and he's not even he's not a great ball handler. Like he's sloppy. Like obviously he has skills, but he's sloppy. He's very sloppy and inconsistent. Um,
Yep.
so at the end of the day, they're rolling a lot of dice in
Yeah.
Minnesota this year, and they banked a lot of their future on it. Obviously, Gobert and Towns have to work literally have to work. I can't understand or express what that would mean to that franchise if they have to somehow break that twin tower up after what they gave up to get it. Even if they give it 2 years and it don't work and they break it up, that's still such a loss.
Oh yeah.
Still such a loss. At any point, if this doesn't give you a championship, and I want to say that because at the end of the day, you can't just win a championship with them too. They are going to need another piece or two, which they might need a year or two to get it. So I can give them that. But if you don't get to the playoffs this year and make at least somewhat of a run, already that's a step back, even if it's a different team.
I agree with you.
Because you
And
made those runs with an inconsistent team where two of your star players hit each other. One person couldn't shoot or do offense to save his life, and the other person pretty much took any shot he wanted. And basically, one person couldn't play offense, one person couldn't play defense. So
yeah.
y'all can make this team work.
You know what? Everything you've said, like I can't disagree with no points like that you made. I can't disagree with anything that you made. Everything you said was exactly what I was gonna say about this team. I totally agree with all your points. The D'Angelo Russell point, the Anthony Edwards point, him taking a step up, and honestly, I don't think this is gonna work. I think that
Hey,
I
they haven't
think
won a playoff series in 18 years. This
Yeah,
has to be
man.
the year they do it.
It's been since Kevin Garnett years for sure. I definitely remember he was the last one to do it. But you know what? I think they got swindled. I think they totally got swindled on that deal. They
Bamboozled.
gave up, bamboozled, swindled. Like my man, Danny Ainge totally conned them into giving up. I guess the defensive player of the year for sure in multiple years in a row. But a guy that's going on the decline, and a guy that he's not known for scoring points. And obviously he's going to take up a lot of space down there. And they also picked up another guy, Naz Reid, who's going to be a backup center for them, who's actually a good defender as well. I just don't see this working, man. I don't see it working at all. And in the next 2 years, I don't see them being together, Rudy and Cat. I think one of them is going to go within the next 2 years, like after 2 years, obviously, like this year, next year, and then after that, one of them is going to go. I think that they just got swindled. They gave up too many picks. Obviously, you saw that, even Mitchell got less draft picks and players for him, so they could have got a superstar in Mitchell, and they decided to get a defensive star in Rudy. I just
Right.
think that this team is not going to work. I do see them making the playoffs though, because they got enough talent to make the playoffs. I just
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
they're going to make it work as far as win a playoffs run. And to be honest, I see them possibly being in the play-in, 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th seed.
Well, at least they don't have Patrick Beverly there crying like he did won a damn championship. So we'll see.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And going from that team that's got a big man that's trying to prove himself to another team that's got a big man that's trying to prove himself. My man Zion Williamson, the New Orleans Pelicans, trying to do
Round of
something this year.
applause. And because my man finally gave up the cheeseburgers, and I'm happy for him.
Gave up the in and out, started doing
I
those lettuce wraps.
finally started doing those little raps because he's looking fantastic out there. Lost clearly a lot of weight. Even if he didn't lose the weight, it clearly turned more into muscle. He slimmed down. Like I don't even
Definitely
know if he
slimmed down.
weighs. Like I don't know how much he actually weighs now. But it's showing that he lost the
I think he's
weight.
still over 300 like before. They were saying he was over 300 before.
I really don't think so. He looks a little less, but like I said,
Yeah.
that muscle is heavy.
Yeah, probably like 290, 285.
Right.
I see him at. He still looks big, but honestly, like that team is stacked. Obviously, they got Brandon Ingram and on that squad as well. They picked up C.J. McCollum last year before the trade deadline, and if you look at that
284.
team, yeah, 284.
He's 284.
Right around
Yep.
there. What exactly what I said, 285. Yeah. So I think he definitely slimmed down a lot and turned into muscle. Zion, that is. But honestly, this team last year, if you looked at them the first 30 games of the season last year, they went 4-26. And I mean, you wouldn't have thought that they would have made the playoffs at all or the play-in tournament. They come in and they get a guy like CJ McCollum, and they almost go in and make a playoff run. They made the play-in, but they didn't make the playoffs. And that's without Zion being on the squad last year. Didn't play any minutes. So now Zion coming back, they got a guy in Brandon Ingram who's, I think, a star in this league. Not a superstar, but definitely a star. And I think Zion is a superstar defensively and offensively. I think he's got the hops. He doesn't have any shooting ability, obviously, unlike other big men, but I do think when he plays down low, he's a beast. They got other guys that, they can shoot, so they don't really need Zion to be on the outside. So with a guy like Devontae Graham and CJ, being out there as the 1 and 2 guards, I think that they're going to have a great run out here. Obviously, Brandon Ingram's going to be scoring over 25 a game. And I think that they made a great pickup in the draft in Dyson Daniels. I think this kid is going to be nice. He's a shooter. He's a known good 3-point shooter, and he can go in and get you inside and get some layups inside. So I definitely expect him to do good. They still got guys like Herbert Jones and Kira Lewis Jr. who was doing work last year, and a guy like Valanciunas who can always come in. I think this team is literally a team that we're going to have to watch this year. I didn't even mention Larry Nance Jr., who actually had a decent season last year. This team is my surprise team of the year, and I left that 4th spot off of the Western Conference for a reason, and it was because of this team. I think that this team is going to be a top 4 team this year. I think that they got so much talent everywhere, especially that top 5 rotation, and honestly that top 7 rotation. They have so much talent. I expect them to do big things this year. Surprise team of the year, possibly 50 games. Win 50 games.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. with the healthy Zion, I put them on the same level as the Grizzlies. We haven't seen it yet, but they have the talent to be the little big brother
Hmm.
or the little brother to the top 3, 4 contenders. At the end of the day, like you said, 4-26, pretty much to end up number 8 in the West. Knocked out Paul George and the Clippers and San Antonio in the play-in tournament to get there,
Yep.
and drove Phoenix to 6 games in a hell of a series.
Yeah, it was.
Obviously, a big reason for that was that February trade for CJ McCollum. Pretty much like I understand that Brandon Ingram is playing well. I understand who Zion is, but offensively, let's not kid ourselves. That's CJ McCollum's team. Offensively, he's the one that put that team on his back when he got there and took off. Obviously, like I said, strong play from Brandon this year, having a double-headed sword in Zion, offense and defense. Obviously, is going to help. Um, I actually don't know if I expect Zion to be the leading scorer with CJ there. You would think so, but CJ just gonna have those nights where he's just hitting and going off, and obviously having that 3 shot is a little bit better when you're more prone to only take twos and dunks and that. But it's gonna be
Right.
between them two for top spot of scoring, and I don't even think it's gonna be off. I think whoever is first is gonna be right behind the next person.
Hmm.
Um,
Gotcha.
and then Brandon Ingram coming in third. I do think it might be Zion because they're going to try to run sets. But at the end of the day, they also might know what CJ could do and try to tell Zion like, don't even we don't need that from you. You're injury prone. Like let's not try to get you 30 points a game. We don't need that.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
that's why I say I think CJ might actually end up being the leading scorer, just because that is probably better for Zion in the long run and better for the franchise. Um,
That's a good point.
so definitely gonna have Brandon Ingram right behind him doing his thing. Hell of a season last year from rookies Herbert Jones, Jose Alvarado, and Trey Murphy. Um, all three of them had meaningful minutes in the late season and playoff run. And like I said, some of them, including Jose Alvarado and Herbert Jones, was a big reason why they went 6 games with the Suns.
Right.
Both, but Trey Murphy's not like the reason why I'm gonna exclude him is because Herbert Jones and Jose Alvarado more established themselves not only with meaningful minutes, but as better defenders. And that's why they got the chance to get those minutes because they were so ferocious on defense. So
Mm.
obviously, having injuries prone Zion, CJ and Brandon are not known for their defense. Jose and Herbert Jones are going to be able to make their statement doing that for that team.
Right.
So, like I said, though that big three is going to be a good big three. You made a great point in Dyson Daniels, NBA ready shot. Definitely going to be able to get some meaningful minutes right off the bat. And obviously, Valanciunas, we like to forget about him because he's always injured. But whenever he's healthy, he's 100% a top-notch center. So they got a lot of young contributors. Pretty much the only one, I don't want to say out of his prime, but the only one on the tail end of the career is Valanciunas and CJ. And I hate to say it, but Valanciunas isn't that important. Like you mentioned, we got Larry Nance, we got a couple other centers that can step in, and CJ still playing at a high level. So then that's what you want from him. So I can agree with you. Uh, I don't know. I can 100%. I wouldn't even be mad or be surprised if they end up in fourth. I can see that. I didn't have them in fourth because I got to see how that big three play together. Like there's a lot to figure.
Mm.
Um, but 100% at this point. Uh, Projection wise, I would definitely put them over the Grizzlies without Jaren Jackson Jr. You're 100% right. And truthfully, I would put them over the Lakers. I
Hmm.
don't expect a lot from the Lakers this year. And obviously, like I said, middle of the pack playoff, but that's not what the Lakers should be giving you, especially with that team. So I don't
Yeah.
expect them to be what they're supposed to be this year. So I would definitely give Clippers over them. Definitely,
Yep.
uh,
Same.
definitely Warriors over them.
Same.
And who's a third team we had up there? I don't know why I'm blinking out.
Well, I had the Lakers because I moved the Grizzlies down, or I mean, there's the Nuggets as well, and Mavs possibly,
Oh,
Suns.
that's what it is. So the Suns and Mavs, I still have a better potential to finish over the Lakers.
Right.
And
Well,
at this
some.
point, I will put the Pelicans at third. As crazy as
Right.
it sound.
Wow. That's interesting because yeah, that's
Who you have them at? Who you have at third?
Well,
You have
that's exactly what I
Warriors,
was gonna. That's exactly who
Clippers.
I got at third is the New Orleans Pelicans because
Oh,
you know.
okay, yeah.
So my top four, since we already went through the teams in my top four, I have number one
Yeah, the
is
rest are lottery picks, bro.
he pretty much next and those are gonna be interesting to talk about. But real quick, the top four that I got, I think that the Warriors are gonna be number one this year, and I do think the Clippers number two, New Orleans number three, and then Lakers number four. Those are my top four for the Western Conference. But I think that what the Lakers were trying to do last year, it was funny that you brought up the Lakers because the Lakers were trying to do, they were trying to bring in and have three guys that could score over 20 points a game. You know, LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook. Obviously that didn't happen, but I think what the Pelicans do have is they got three guys that could score over 20 points a game. They got Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, and Zion. They could all score over 20. And
But
just
it's
with
different
those,
though. The Pelicans
for
don't
sure.
have three players who take away from each other.
Exactly. And
Westbrook take away from the
exactly.
other two.
They just play so well together. Like how Westbrook came onto the Lakers, and we both said that this is not gonna work. The way that that's set up is not gonna work. How CJ came into the Pelicans, I thought it was gonna work perfectly because that's exactly what they needed. They needed a guy that could bring up the ball and that can, you know, really take shots, and that's exactly what they needed.
No, 100%. So yeah, I can agree though that they can be a surprise team and be top three in the playoffs. I don't know. Like I want to say maybe the Grizzlies, but it's just so hard to trust them without Jaren.
Yeah, I don't trust them
It's
without
just
Jaren
so
as
hard
well.
to trust them
I
without.
don't.
Like I don't think people understand how much of a hit that's gonna be. They barely beat the Knicks in the first game of the season. They won by 3.
Yeah.
And the Knicks looked horrible.
Right. And the only other team that I guess I can kind of put in there is the Nuggets, and that's if, like I said, Michael
That's the
Porter
big
balls
three.
out.
Yeah.
That's if
Yeah.
Michael Porter balls
So
out.
technically, the Nuggets have better talent than the Pelicans when it comes to roster.
But they just
we
don't
need
stay
all
healthy.
three to be healthy.
Yeah, they
Exactly.
don't stay healthy.
We need all three to be healthy. And that's what I'm saying. That's why that's why I didn't have the Pelicans up there at first. Because in my head, I'm like, I didn't see that big three play together yet.
Yeah,
But obviously,
gotcha.
like you said, just talking about it, I 100%. Like, yeah, they're gonna be one of the top teams in the West for sure.
I
Because they
think
literally
Zion.
made it 8th without Zion.
Right, exactly. Like they literally made it to the playoffs without Zion, and now they got him back. But I think Zion's on a mission too. I think he wants to prove everyone wrong that
that he wasn't fat.
That too, but then obviously John Morant was in the same draft class as him. He went number 2. He got obviously more allocates now with the most improved player of the year. I think he got rookie of the year as well, didn't he? John Morant. So he's got the allocates, and now Zion's a little mad. He wants a little bit of that.
I'll be mad too. This I guess it's Zion's turn to win most improved player of the year, huh?
All right. Can he win that though? Because he didn't.
He wasn't play last year.
He didn't even play. Yeah,
like
he can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't got comeback player like they do in football, but that he would definitely win that. He would run away with it easy, Zion, if he just plays normal. But definitely see them being the top 4 team and surprising a lot of people this year beyond the playoffs. But going from a team that is likely going to make the playoffs, let's talk about some teams that are probably most likely, unless they do some surprising moves, they're probably not going to make the playoffs.
Nah, it's not even surprisingly.
And this next one is kind of sad to me because honestly, this team has made the playoffs the last 20 years consistently.
Yeah, it's the end of an era.
The Spurs.
Obviously, yep, the Spurs coach Pop is finally, and at this point, he don't even have any of the old regimen anymore. DeAndre Murray was the last one that was on the tail end of that dynasty, and pretty much like you said, damn near dominance and consistency for the last 20 years. Last year, they finished 34-48. Got to the play-in tournament, lost pretty much to the Pelicans, as we just explained, and then sent one of their best players away, DeAndre Murray, to Atlanta.
Yep.
They did get Danilo Gallinari for that, but they didn't keep him. He got waived.
And actually, you guys picked him up.
And we picked him up, and now he's injured from Europlay.
And now he's injured for the year.
Yep.
I kind of figured that was going to happen. It's
I was so mad about that. I
thought that was a great pick by
it was a great
Boston
pickup,
Celtics, but
it really sucks. I mean, they say he might not be able to out for the whole year, but at this point, who knows?
And we
Um,
definitely got to talk about that when we do the Eastern Conference for sure.
exactly.
For sure. But I mean,
So they pretty much got Gallinari with that 3
yeah,
first-round picks, another pick swap, another 2022 protected first round, and a couple conditionals. So
yep.
a lot of stuff they got. Clouds when they that wasn't just for Gallinari, but also from the Derek
From
White.
Derek White trade and Lonnie Walker trade as
And
well, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
yep. And then they got Josh Richardson and Romeo Langford along
Yep.
with all those picks.
That was from the Gallinari trade.
Exactly. So at
Yeah.
this point, they're just at the rebuilding status, but real deep rebuilding.
For
Pretty
sure. Though
much.
I would say their best player is probably Keldon Johnson
I was just about
at
to
this
say,
time.
pretty much the only one that's worth talking about is the one they just signed this year, Keldon Johnson. They locked him up for 4 years.
Yep.
He did have a good breakout season last year, but at this point, they have no one else to write home about. No one
Actually,
else.
they do. I'll be
Who do you
honest, they
think?
do. So, a surprise, possible rookie of the year pick, Jeremy Schoen. I think he's gonna be a beast. He's gonna get minutes. He's gonna be a power forward for them, and he can shoot. And I like his game. He's gonna be starting on the squad and probably getting 25 to 30 minutes.
Nah, I mean he is gonna start, and they picked up other like Malachi Branham and Blake Wesley.
Yeah,
Hell, even
but
Kennedy
Schoen is nice
Chandler.
though.
Sean was the number 9 pick, a lot better than the rest of them, but I don't think he's gonna be rookie of the year.
Yeah, but remember he also was another guy that played in the Euro League, kind of like Doncic did since he was like 14. He played for Germany, which is still like playing against like grown men, like in that Euro League, and he played since he was 15 out there. So I think that he's already NBA ready. He doesn't need. He's played like seasons of 60 games, so he's ready to play an 82 game season. Whereas like a lot of rookies, they hit that rookie wall, after that 30, 40th game.
I mean, but that's the thing. Yeah, he played at EuroLeague at a young age like Luka, but Luka was literally dominating the
Yeah, you're right.
EuroLeague.
He was MVP. I mean,
Jeremy, he's not coming in NBA ready. He's gonna get the NBA minutes and he's got the body potential, but he's not gonna come in there and drop 15 plus like it's nothing. Even in the starting lineup.
honestly, I think he can average close to 15, 14, 15 is exactly what he can average to me. Especially on a team like this where they're gonna need a guy to score. Like they don't have anyone else that's gonna score. Maybe Isaiah Roby and Zach Collins, but not really.
I mean, let me see, because their starting lineup obviously is going to
They
be
got Vassell
Trey
starting.
Jones,
Well,
Vassell,
yeah.
Doug McDermott, Keldon Johnson, and Jacob.
But I promise you, Sheldon, after the first like week or two of the season, you'll see him move into that starting lineup.
That's what I'm saying. He's definitely going to be like I was saying, none of those rookies they picked is getting a start. Like they're not getting a start over Vassell and McDermott. That's what McDermott is showing that he's NBA. He's a vet. He can shoot the 3 already. Like
Yeah, McDermott is a vet for sure.
That's what I'm saying. So
He's
I
shown
don't
that.
think he's gonna get rookie of the year because I don't think he's actually gonna start. I think he's
Okay,
gonna
yeah.
be in the reserves. He might work his way
Well,
up
no,
to
I didn't
sixth
say he
man.
was gonna get rookie of the year. I just said he was gonna be up there for
That's I don't even think he is. I don't even think his name is gonna be in the top 3.
Okay. Yeah.
There's other
Okay.
rookies that are gonna be starters that are gonna get like come on. Paulo Blanchero
I mean, you got a point.
was
You got a
doing
point.
his thing already.
Yeah,
So, you
Paulo
know what I'm
looking
saying? Like
beasty,
this
bro.
man's not. That's what I'm saying. I see
you
what
got
you're
some other
saying
big
with
guys.
the NBA ready and things like that, but I don't think he's gonna be up there.
I feel you. Yeah. No, I mean, if a guy like I don't know, if a guy like McDermott happens to get injured and then he has to start, then maybe he shows something. But I do think that he does have that NBA body for the game.
Joshua Primo's getting a start over him if that happens. He had a breakout season last year.
Last year he played great.
He was one of their best players last year.
Still,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I don't think you pick a top 10 pick and not start him. Like that's not
You do.
top 10 though.
That's what I'm saying. Though, like, yeah, it happens a lot of times. Bro, it's at this point in day and age, a lot of them top 10 picks aren't working out.
Well, they don't
and
work
the
out.
thing,
They
like
usually
the
drop them
Warriors,
after that. But usually
they
start
pick the
'em.
best player at that pick. And at this point, they have no intention of forcing him into a starting lineup because no one in San Antonio's organization is thinking he needs to start because he was number 9. They
Nah, I
just pick
agree
the
with
best
you.
player available,
I agree with you
and
there.
they're going to work him in how they can work him in.
And honestly, I think they're probably looking at possibly tanking for one of the nice players in the draft, Scoot Henderson or Victor
Just like the
Wembanyama.
other teams we talk about, they don't have a choice.
And speaking about another one of those teams that's going to be in that conversation, I think this team, the Sacramento Kings, has been in this conversation a lottery team for the last 20 years, pretty much what it seems like.
And
They
they just
haven't
got
really.
rid of Buddy. So
They just got rid of Buddy, and their best player is De'Aaron Fox, and he's already disgruntled out there. He's saying that he doesn't like the system, he doesn't like the way they're using them. So
what you mean? They got all-star center, Domantas Sabonis. Fuck
I
outta
mean,
here.
I mean, you know what? You know what's crazy to me though? Like, I don't know why they're like, I don't know how he doesn't like the system when they're pretty much focusing it on him. He's getting like almost 27 points a game, like almost like 8 assists. Like, what kind of
I'll be
system do you
honest.
want?
I don't know why. I don't understand why he's saying that either. You're 100% right. They built that team
Exactly. It was
just
built
for him
around.
the last 3 years. Yeah.
Now it's gonna be more pick and roll with Sabonis. I could see that for sure. I do think that they're gonna try some things. They're gonna try to make some moves possibly in the middle of the season. I don't see this team doing better than honestly a play-in spot and possibly the last play-in spot. Like the 10th spot is what I see him at.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's definitely gonna be pretty much just between Dumb OKC and the Rockets for the worst spot. And truthfully, OKC would have been just a little better if Chet didn't go down for the whole year.
Exactly. Right.
And so it would have been between the Kings and the Rockets.
Yes.
And truthfully, it's a toss up. Because the Rockets really they already started their restart and rebuild. While the Kings have, and that's the thing, the King got a better name, but they're just a bunch of misfits that couldn't work other places.
Right.
And we've seen that with the Washington Wizards. That didn't
And
work.
they don't work when they're together either.
And that's what I'm saying. So you got decent names like Dante DiVincenzo,
Right.
Trey
Right.
Lyles, Josh Jackson, obviously Sabonis, Justin Holiday. They just picked up Kevin Huerta, and none of that's going to make them any better. Literally, Malik Monk, great number 4 pick, and Keegan Murray.
Yes,
They
I was just gonna
have
say that. That's
names on that team, and they're
So-
still going to finish with one of the worst records in the league because they can't have it all together. And just like you said, and obviously Buddy Hill. Oh no, they got rid of Buddy Hill.
they got
But
rid
just
of
like
him.
you
Yeah,
said, their top player is somehow disgruntled. Like they need
I
to
know.
build a team around him. They're literally
It's
doing nothing but
crazy.
getting shooters, even at the big man position. They got Huerta. They got some productive bench scoring in Malik Monk and DiVincenzo.
Yeah.
Josh Jackson and Sabonis are great when it you know what I'm saying? Like what more did they want? And at the end of the day, the question is, what more can he give you? Is he
And I don't
still
think he
improving
can.
at this point? And I don't think he can either. Is he even improving at this point?
Honestly, not to me, not really. And
I feel like he's reached his cap and people don't see it.
yes, yeah, exactly. I thought that the second year in the league it was probably his best year. You know, he made a jump at 28 points a game, had the 9 assists. I thought that's exactly what he could be averaging for his career if he had a decent team around him. Now, to me, I think that what you said was perfect. They did make some great pickups as far as rookies. Like my man Keegan Murray is definitely going to be a great player in the future, and obviously Davion Mitchell is another guy who I actually expect to do some things. And that could be a reason that they get rid of De'Aaron Fox this year. He's disgruntled out there. They got another guy in the wings in Davion Mitchell who possibly could, take a step up. I don't know. I just see them having
I
a
think
fire
so
sale,
too.
kind of like Utah.
Keegan Murray and Davion Mitchell have 2 things in common: prolific college defenders.
Hmm.
They have finished bottom 5 in defense every year since they drafted De'Aaron Fox. He's a horrible defender. He don't elevate his teammates. I don't want to say he's selfish, but his on-court play is basically showing he just kind of looking for his own shot and his own. Like he doesn't make other players better. He's not a team you can build around. He's not your franchise player.
No.
And I think
no.
they're noticing that because they're getting basically a lot of defensive-minded guards.
Yep.
They're adding other people who can shoot. That's the thing, you can't play defense and you can't shoot. Like I don't care that you can run fast with the ball. Like that don't mean nothing to me.
At least Russell Westbrook could
he can
make
assist,
plays,
that's
assists,
what I'm
right? He
saying,
can
like-
rebound. He can, he give you
exactly.
like he's not doing any of that. But I agree with you there. I think that that running around fast gets old after a while. You got to do more than that. And I do think that they have a good young team, and I do agree with you that they took players from everywhere: Malik Monk, Dellavedova, Huerter. And they're trying to put them together and see if they fit together. I just don't think this is going to be the right fit for all of them. But I do
Hmm.
like their young guys, like I said, Murray, Mitchell, and even their backup center, Chimeze Metu. I think he's gonna be nice. I think he's gonna be nice as a backup center.
No, definitely. And they got a lot of potential. And they're like I said, I don't think they're gonna really try to make a push, but they shouldn't be the laughing stock and the worst team in the NBA no more.
No,
Um,
but you know who is laughing though? I think people are laughing at Chet Holmgren for getting injured, which is kind of sad. Like my man got injured in preseason. And can we talk about the Thunder real quick?
oh yeah.
Man, Chet Holmgren, how sad is this? The number one pick of the draft, everyone was expecting huge things from him and as well as the Thunder. Like people really thought Thunder were going to take a step up. First of all, they had a bunch of first round picks. Second of all, they had some players that they actually played pretty well. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being one of them, and they really could have taken a step up with Chet. Now without him, what do you really expect from them?
Honestly, it really sucks. They were basically gonna do nothing but rebuild, but that rebuild is basically put on hold for a whole year. And it kind of sucks when you have to stop everything. Like this year, watching SGA, Chet Holmgren, and Josh Giddey was going to be a
Yeah,
fun year.
would have been fun.
Obviously, they signed Lou Dort, that's one of their best defenders, to a new contract. But obviously, his dumbass trying to defend LeBron in a fucking pro-am game. Don't know why your skinny ass would do that. But yeah, so now he's out for the whole year, and they pretty much are just gonna not tank, but that like they're not trying to tank on purpose, but there's literally absolutely nothing. They're now basically the laughing stock of the NBA. And I don't want to say laughing stock. I would leave that to the Rockets, because at least the Kings have added some respectable names, and
True,
this
true,
was going to
true,
be a
true.
fun team to watch. No one expected them to be bad, but no one was laughing at OKC. We was all excited. We was all like, this is going to be a fun
Yes.
team. Like no one was
Yeah.
laughing at them being this bad. We were looking forward to them being this bad, so we could
Yeah.
see all these players play together.
Exactly.
So they're not
I
even a
agree. I
laughing
think this
stock.
would have been the most exciting team to watch this year if they were all on the floor together.
And they would have lost every game and no one would have
Nah, because they would have
cared.
been exciting to watch.
Exactly. So yeah, not a laughing stock, but at the end of the day, like I said, they have to pretty much pause their already slow rebuild. Obviously they got more than Holmgren in the draft. They picked up Jalen Williams, which I thought was a good pick as well.
Yeah, it
And
was.
Ousmane Dieng. Jalen Williams for me. Oh, both
And
Jalen Williams.
yeah, both of them. Yeah.
They got both Jalen and Jalen
And Jalen,
Williams.
yeah.
That's what I'm
Hmm.
saying. They got both of them, and that Jalen Williams, I think, is a good underrated pickup.
He
I
is.
think he has an
But I still like
NBA ready body.
Jalen's game better.
Yeah, and he's a better shooter.
Yeah.
So they're definitely gonna have a lot to rebuild on. SGA is already running the show. He don't look like he has any intention of leaving anywhere. Yeah, obviously some players want to win, some players want money. But he looked like he's content in OKC doing what he's
Hmm.
doing.
Yeah.
Obviously Josh Giddey is coming off a great rookie year, and I think he's gonna have a good season. And like I said, we was all looking forward to watching them rebuild. But this year, they're just gonna focus on developing the players they do have, and trying to get Chet back on his feet. Obviously they're gonna be a lottery pick, and either way, it still should be a fun season to watch from OKC.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think it's still going to be a decent season to watch, especially with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's obviously going to be that shining star for them, and he's going to obviously try to take over this team and be that number one option for them. I do agree that they actually have the best draft. I think to me they had the best
Oh yeah.
draft at draft night. Obviously they had the number one pick, but they also had like two or three lottery picks. I think it was like
Yeah,
however
and
many
Jay,
it
let's
was.
say Jalen was a good pick, one of them.
Yeah. And also, even the year before, when they picked up Alexei Pokulevsky, who's going to be starting, right now for Chet, most of the time when Muscala's not starting, I think Alexei's going to get that step up. He's gonna be that one guy that's going to get some points out of this, and some more minutes. But also, they picked up Andrew Wiggins' brother, Aaron Wiggins. And I know he's not a big, he wasn't a big name in college, and he got picked up in the second round, but I do think that he's gonna have some minutes now, with this team. They got a really young squad. They
Oh
could have
yeah,
been very exciting.
the
And I still
youngest.
think, yeah, the youngest. And I still think they could be exciting.
They will be.
I have them as a like 11th seed, honestly. Like I have them just right behind honestly probably right behind like I don't know, man. The Timberwolves. I think they had Timberwolves 10th, and I got them 11th. They're gonna be like right outside the playoffs.
So it all depends because I do think they will be outside the playoffs, because pretty much before we get to the worst team in the West, there's one team that has such a huge question mark, to the
Yes.
point where they can be a playoff team or they're one bad move away from being a lottery pick team,
Mm,
and that's the Trailblazers, and that's
right,
why
right,
I
right.
think that OKC will be a lottery team because I think even with the Kings and with the Spurs, we still got to remember with the healthy Damian Lillard, the Trailblazers actually made some good moves this year to be contenders. And that's the thing, they
True.
they actually got the roster set up to go to the playoffs. We just honestly don't know how it's gonna be. Obviously, last year Damian Lillard was limited to only 29 games. I had that abdominal injury. Blazers finished 13 in the West, which is why this season not many people have high expectations for them. Obviously, Chauncey Billups' first year as a coach. Um, but besides Lillard's injury, there was just so many other injuries on that team. Obviously, the big you got Nurkic been being injured
Yep.
for God knows how long. I almost
Every
forgot he
season.
was still in the league,
Every
basically.
season, 20 to 40 games at least. You can count
Exactly.
on that.
Then they got rid of C.J. McCollum, Larry Nance Jr., and Tony Snell. All of them went to New Orleans. Obviously, they also traded Norman Powell and Robert Covington to LA.
Yep.
And I remember hearing something when someone was like, they get mad at KD for switching teams, taking the easy way out. And it was an analyst, and he was like, at the end of the day, Damian Lillard is the one that's been taking the easy way out, and no one sees it that way. He keeps
Mm,
signing these huge,
mm,
huge contracts, knowing that you're never gonna have enough money or to build a contending team around you. And you can go out there and play your ass off, go get 35 a game. Like that's not gonna. You can win a couple series with shots, but you're never gonna win a championship. And it's crazy because people hate, KD for moving from contender to contender, or they don't like people because this whole thing came up when basically it was at one point a couple months ago when two big stars said, "I don't want to play for them anymore. I want to go." Um, and then I think one of them was KD. Everyone's like, and they had the nerve to say, "I want to go to the Suns of the Heat." Excuse me.
He is
So nobody was happy about that. But
choosing
then
where he
some,
wants to go.
right, and obviously the top two teams in each conference are the top team in each
Top
conference.
team, yeah.
So a lot of people had a lot of heat, and then one guy was like, "Listen, I understand people don't like that, but like he's not the only one taking the easy way out. Like here's my take." And that's also when Damian just signed that whole big contract. He's
Mhm.
like, "That's the easy way out for me." He knows they're never gonna be able to contend. He knows, even especially now they got rid of CJ. He knows they're not bringing in the number two. He knows that this is his last shot at his age to pretty much go for a championship. And for a lot of people, him taking that much money was him basically saying that that's not going to happen.
Man,
So a lot of
you know
listen, they
what?
did some things. Picked up Shaden Sharp, hell of a pick.
For
Um,
sure, for sure. Great pick.
extended Anthony Simmons. Um, got Jeremy Grant, signed Gary Payton too. Or GP2. So pretty much I said Gary Payton too.
That's
So
his name?
pretty
Gary
I
Payton
know,
too.
but the second, but
The
I'm
second.
thinking of GP2. But basically, they kind of made moves, but at the end of the day, Damian Lillard, Anthony Simmons, Jeremy Grant, Shaden Sharp, Gary Payton, and Yusuf Nurkic isn't a championship winning team. Not even
Good
close.
point. Good point.
Not even close.
But they do sound like a playoff team, though.
They are a playoff team. That's the thing. The reason why we kind of didn't mention them first and why we've been doing all this place and we haven't brought up the Trailblazers at all is because we both know
A
they're
lot of questions.
literally one injury away from any one of these players. One, they literally injury today and you put them in the last place last year.
Facts. 100%. 100%.
Even if he's almost 100% this year, without Nurkic, how far do you think they really go?
I don't think they go
And they don't
anywhere
have
without
CJ
Nurk.
anymore.
I think they need, see, for me, the guy that they kind of need is Nurkic to stay
They
healthy.
do.
I think the one guy that they can possibly lose is if we don't wish injuries on nobody. And if they were to lose somebody, Anthony Simmons, I think they could
Yeah.
lose him because they could just put in Sheldon Sharp, Shaden Sharp. They could just put him in that position right there to start. And I think he's a great scorer, Shaden Sharp. He's one of my favorite players from that draft. I think he's going to be a star in this league in the future. But I agree with you about this team, and especially about what you said about Damian Lillard. That was a great soliloquy that you gave. Honestly, a great point because I totally agree with you, man. And I never really thought about it like that, but that is the easy way route, the
It
easy
is.
way out
He
because.
knows he's not winning the championship.
And you know why? Because yeah, he's taking those max deals, and he knows that the Portland Trailblazers are not a top tier destination. They're not a top TV contract place. They don't get as many attendance. They don't set any attendance records really. So their team is not going to be the type to pay the luxury tax. You know, they're not going to be like the Warriors to pay 430 million luxury tax. So yeah, if he gets this contract and maybe one other guy gets the contract, but nobody else is getting the contract, like it's not going to be like the Warriors where you got 4 guys that you're paying max deals on. So I totally agree with you. I think that this possibly is that easy way out. You kind of right on that. You kind of put it right on the money there. But again, I do think that they're a fringe playoff team to me. I actually had them as a 9-spot team. I have them in the play-in this year. That's where I got them, just inside the play-in.
Listen, Damian took the easy way out. Portland didn't. Obviously, they got to pay their superstar if that's what he's asking for, but they did the moves to get the pieces they can, all while freeing up some space. Now, mind you, I didn't think they were going to free up space from CJ to spend it all on Damian.
True.
But-
Well, no. You know what though? No, they actually freed that up because they wanted Jeremy Grant and they got Jeremy Grant.
And they
'Cause
re-signed
if you remember,
Anthony Simmons, so it did help.
they
them.
did, yeah. And if you remember, like last year before the trade deadline, they were trying to get Jeremy Grant. It was gonna be Jeremy Grant for CJ McCollum. That was gonna be the trade, but it just didn't happen. I think that they couldn't get like an extra pick or something like that, so they canceled the trade. But they were able to get him once Jeremy became a free agent, which is it's still great because they're obviously focused on putting the team around Damian.
Yeah,
They got
and they are
Anthony
trying to
Simmons.
make a championship push. But
Right.
no, and realistically, and that's the thing, like realistically, we I feel like even owners and managers and the personnel from these teams got to know what their realistic
Expectations are.
expectations are, and like you can't expect me to believe that you think this is a championship team. At the end of the day, damn near you can put that expectation on Dame. Like we've seen him pretty much break up OKC. Like
I was
we've
just gonna
seen what
say that,
he
like,
can do.
He can win a playoff series, but can he get
He's
to the
not winning.
Western Conference
That's what I'm
Finals?
saying. He's not winning a ring.
Well,
with this
not
team.
even that, but can they even get to the Western Conference Finals again?
Right, exactly.
And you know they made it once, and that was when their whole team was together with obviously with Nurkic as well. And I don't know if I could trust Nurkic anymore. Like,
And
he's
once he
steady
went
for a whole
down,
season.
it was over for that team.
Exactly.
The whole franchise went down with him.
And they're really hoping that Anthony Simmons is the next CJ McCollum. And honestly, I kind of I agree with them. I see a lot of potential in this kid, and I thought exactly what was going to happen happened. I thought that they were going to pay him a max contract, and they did, which he deserves. I just think that Sheldon Sharp is going to be that future for them. He's just I like his game. I think he's a better player than Anthony Simmons.
Yeah, he was one of the. To me, I'm pretty sure I had him as the most NBA ready draft
Right.
pick.
Yeah, I think I agree with
Like
that. I
most
think him
ready
and-
to go out there and actually contribute right away. I
Yeah.
thought he was that one.
I would say
Well,
him and
besides
Sean
play,
was mine.
that's to say, besides obviously the top three, like the
See, I
top
don't even
three,
think the top three were though. I'll
and
be
that's what I'm
honest,
saying.
like,
And that's what I'm saying. They some of them
like-
don't even have. They just have the athleticism.
exactly.
Some of them,
Like,
they
first
still
of all,
say, yeah.
Chet doesn't have an NBA body. Like everyone
Right.
knows that. Like I mean, Paulo, he doesn't
He does
shoot
the body,
that well.
but he don't have the IQ or the shot. But I thought
The
Shaedon
shot,
Sharp he had a great shot, great great body, just
fast,
fast, athletic, has the blink,
athletic
the
for sure. Did
body
you
to
see how we
be
saw that
a
dunk in
two-way
preseason,
player.
bro?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he's quick. He has a decent IQ. Like I actually thought he was a most pro-ready rookie for sure.
I totally agree with you there, but I still have them as a fringe playoff team. And you
Yeah.
know what? If my man Anthony Simmons take a step up, they could possibly win you a playoff series. I'm not saying that they're gonna beat the number one team if they happen to play like the Warriors or something, but I mean we've seen Damian Lillard just ball out in the playoffs.
Right.
So
I mean, hey,
Never.
at the end of the day, once again, Like last year, we had pretty much the Lakers not in the playoffs, the Clipper and the
Right.
Spurs at number 9 and 10, and the Pelicans at number 8.
Exactly.
There's
Exactly.
going to be a lot of spots open and available. And obviously, it's a little bit different if they have Lillard this year.
Yeah.
And pretty much, we definitely they can pretty much be. And that's the thing. They like you said, they make it to the playoffs. That defense is not winning them any series.
True. True. No defense, but I think
That
they do
defense is
have
so
hope.
bad.
They do
Yeah,
have
no,
hope,
that's still
but
playoff potential, but
that's
definitely not
yeah, something.
championship.
At least it's something. And going from a team that has hope, let's go to a team that honestly doesn't look like they got any
Nothing.
hope. They don't got no, except maybe their rookie that they picked up.
Listen, they'll be
That's
lucky
about
to
it.
win 25 games this year.
That's a fact. And we're talking about the lowliest team in the West the past 2 seasons, and as the Houston Rockets. Let's talk about them real quick. Obviously, they had a top 3 pick last year. They still got Jalen Green, who's a pretty good offensive player. I think you can consider him a great offensive guard. Defensively, he's not there yet, but with the Rockets, honestly, I don't expect them to win much, like you said. I really expect Jalen Green to take a step up. Hopefully, he takes a step up on his defense, but do you really, once they lost Christian Wood, you knew that, I'm sorry, you knew once they had Jabari Smith that they were going to trade Christian Wood, so you knew that was happening. They did have a good pickup in Gordon, and also they got Sengun, who's gonna be decent. He played for Toronto last year, decent, and I think that he's gonna be a good center because Boban doesn't play many minutes. Boban Marjanovic, who they also got. So I do think that Sengun's gonna get like around 10 points a game, and that's gonna be the only like good thing that you see from them. Possibly a guy like Kenny Martin Jr. steps up as a rookie and does something for them, but I really don't expect this team to do much. Nothing at all.
Yeah, man, it's just like OKC, a promising group of young players is gonna be fun to watch. Obviously, Jabari Smith is gonna be fantastic. They even made a decent pick in Tyree Eason. I think that was number 16 or 17 in the middle of the first round. Like you mentioned, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Jashawn Tate. They have a lot of exciting young players, but offensively, they have no defense
Offensively,
on that team.
exactly.
Not even close to anyone. I think their only good defender who's going to be starting is Derek Favors. They did just acquire him, but at this point, he's not even that Derek Favors he used to be.
No,
Um,
not at all. I think Sengun is a decent blocker actually. Like he can block some shots. Sengun.
yeah, and he at this point, anyone on that team has a potential to show what they got to show. The only two people they really have any names that isn't a rookie. Well, Kenyon Martin's still young, but like you said,
Yeah.
Eric Gordon, is probably the most established person on that team. And at this point, I don't know how he feel waiting around for the rebuild. Um,
Nah. Nah. Honestly, I'm
he
surprised that
might want
he.
to go to. I'm surprised he's still
I'm
there. I thought
surprised he
he was gonna
stayed. I
leave for a
thought.
contender.
Me too, man. Like honestly, even last year, I'm surprised he stayed. But he's probably getting paid the most over there. So as a veteran, you take that
And he
money when you
probably does
can.
what he want, but you know how most players especially those 3 and D players at this stage in their career, they just want to move to at least a team that's contending and go play their role.
True. True.
So I definitely don't understand why Eric is still there.
I'll be honest.
Um,
You know who he would have been perfect for is the Lakers. They needed a guy like him on the bench who can score and play three
and
and
play
D.
defense. Like literally, I don't one. We already talked about the Lakers, but it became very clear that they did absolutely nothing in their
Other than Patrick
offseason.
Beverly and
No, they didn't do
Schroeder,
that. That fell
other
on
than
their
that,
lap. I don't think they actively went and got any trades. I think someone
uh,
called them and said, "Hey, you want Pat?" And it was like, "You know what?
no, no.
We
You know
didn't
what?
get
That's
nobody else
that's
this year.
no.
You're right.
I don't agree
Let's
with you,
get Pat."
bro. I don't agree with you
I mean,
there.
no,
You know
they
why?
tried. They
No,
tried,
because
but they didn't get anything.
exactly,
They
exactly. They
tried.
tried it and they failed because I think
They
they
tried.
were active trying to trade Westbrook the whole offseason and nobody wanted him.
Nobody does want them. And the Rockets probably could have took him and got him back.
Nah, but I bet you the Lakers wanted like Jalen Green and like
Yeah,
some
give me all 3 of your rookies, especially
right like
the 3
that. It
draft
ain't
picks.
happening.
But yeah,
That's
I guess the
that's
biggest
crazy.
question is how good do they improve this year? How much do they improve this year? Which isn't much. But at the end of the day, 20 and 62, I do say that they go better this year, just a little bit better.
Yeah.
They obviously gotta develop their rookies. They got, like you said, Sengun, Garuba, and Green are second-year players, and pretty much they got Kevin Porter Jr., the third-year player. So they have a lot of young players that they're really trying to develop. They actually have a lot of money, and next
They
year they
do.
have a
They do.
lot of cap space in the free agency. So we'll see, because they also got a decent draft. So yeah, definitely got them last place in the West. I do hope that they got over 20 games, but it's
Yeah.
still hard. Well, no, because last year
Yeah.
OKC finished 24 and 58, and I think that
Right.
they could pretty much be flip flop when it comes to records.
Right. I could see that too. I could see that too. And honestly, I have them and the Spurs as my two lowliest teams. Rockets and the Spurs are going to be fighting for that bottom of the West pretty much for me. I do see them as being exciting in the future, though. They do also have, they're another one of those teams where they have multiple first round picks in the future. So, in future drafts. So that's going to be interesting. Other than that, yeah, I'd see them being a lottery pick for sure this year, and a close to a top 5 lottery pick, honestly.
Oh yeah.
But since we went through the Western Conference, and I know this was a long episode for you guys, and thank you guys for sticking around with us. We just want to real quick do a quick prediction. Western Conference Finals preview. Who you got? You got to pick 2 teams. Who do you think are those 2 teams that are gonna make that deep playoff push and make it to the Western Conference Finals?
Warriors Clippers.
Wow, nice, just like that. That was my pick last year. That was my pick last year. That's crazy. Warriors Clippers. That's a great pick. So for me, I mean, I actually had 2, but I'm actually gonna just say I had exactly like you, Warriors Clippers, and my second one was Clippers Lakers.
That's tripping.
Maybe, unless Lakers stay healthy.
Tripping.
Maybe.
They were
Maybe I
healthy on
am, but
opening night.
anyways, real quick, who you got winning that Western Conference Finals?
At this point, um, I have to see something from the Clippers to believe it. So I
Gotcha.
can't count out the Warriors.
I believe.
They are deep, and on offense and defense, they literally brought back the same team except for Gary Payton, so they didn't lose much.
Good point. I think I kind of trust the Clippers to make a push this year and try to make the finals. I'm just kind of hoping it's more
I
of
don't know
a.
why you would trust anyone in that Clipper organization.
I mean, Kawhi can do it by himself. He did it in Toronto, so with him and Paul George
That
together,
wasn't by himself.
I know. I'm just saying, like,
He had
but
most
without
improved
another
player of the
superstar,
year. Kyle Lowry was an all-star.
not a
Pascal
superstar though.
Siakam, that's what I'm saying.
Pascal was your own rookie, like a
Yeah,
rookie, definitely.
but that's the thing. Him and PG with that
And
team can do
with
it.
that
But if you
deep
put him
team.
and PG on another team, they ain't doing it.
No, I totally agree. Like I said, they're the deepest
Deep
team in
team.
the league. They're the deepest team in the league, and that's why I think that they're probably gonna make the finals this year. But what a great episode to talk to you about the Western Conference Finals, man. Like, it's gonna be a great NBA season. Looking at the West, a lot of teams in the West, they're trying to make that push up, like we said, and a lot of teams are probably not gonna do what they expected. So we're gonna just have to see. It's gonna be interesting, and we'll be back with you guys doing NBA episodes every few weeks. You know, we definitely want to get into the NBA season. Of course, the next one we're gonna do is our Eastern Conference Finals or Eastern Conference preview, episode. But again, I appreciate you guys watching this episode, and if you were watching, make sure you click that like button below, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube. And if you want to go ahead and go over to our Facebook page, Who You Got Sports Podcast, click that like button. You know we love having fans and love having the fan interactions and talking to everybody. If you guys want to ask us questions, you can check us out on Patreon, and you can check out some of the merch we got there. We love giving you guys all the different types of content we can. And if you want to ask us different questions or possibly different topics, that's the place to go. You just go ahead and just give some general support and then ask the question or topic. And you can always find us on social media as well.
Oh yeah, you already know we love fan interaction. We got a lot of NBA coming up, so let us know some good topics, some good debates. We love having debates when it comes to NBA. So
Facts.
you already know season's just started and it's a long season, man. We got a long way to go. We got NBA, NFL, UFC, boxing. We just in love right now. All of our best sports are back, and you know us. Who you got's here for all of it.
That's a fact. It's the season of sports right now. Season of sports, and I'm loving it right now. I can't get mad at it. And again, thank you guys for watching this episode of Who You Got with
Mellow
and Rado. We'll see you guys next time. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Nice. Good stuff.
I knew that shit was gonna be long.
Good stuff. That was a long one. That was a
No,
long one.
great
for sure.
episode.
Great episode for sure. And I know I messed up
Great
the order a
episode.
little bit in the beginning. I
No,
totally missed
You
the
just
songs.
you did.
No, I totally missed. I totally like
you
went
did.
past them. I didn't
Yeah,
even.
yeah.
I didn't.
But
Like I
that's
thought we
why
already
I
went through it.
hopped back in.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad.
Because
You
I'm like,
did.
we're
You
not
balled
gonna
the
be
fuck
fucked
out.
up the rest of the episode.
No, I know. I'm glad you did that because I literally was reading the
I'm
list
like,
and
let me
I
get the Suns, and then we could just
like,
move,
wait,
move
what?
forward. Yeah.
Yeah. You balled out. You balled out perfect.
And then I think you did the same thing.
I
after
did the same thing. No,
Timberwolves
at the
for
end, I
the-
did. No,
for the
I did it
Pelicans.
twice with the Trailblazers actually.
Oh, that was the Trailblazers. Yeah,
The Trailblazers, yeah. It's because they're both T's, and I was like,
No,
wait,
yeah.
can we do that one?
But no,
Like, fuck.
yeah. And
Yeah,
honestly,
it's all good. It's all good.
I'm thinking about it. I should have put the Trailblazers a little higher, but it's just so hard to know what they're gonna give us this year.
That's a fact. That's gonna.
And just honestly, so the order I did this is in the order they ended up last year, except for certain teams like the Lakers. I put them up a little bit. Same with Clippers.
Right. Because they're
when
more
we do-
popular. Yeah.
Exactly. With the Eastern Conference episode, I'm not saving Brooklyn for 8th. They're right after the Celtics, but I did them in the order
That's a fact. Yeah.
of what their rankings were.
Record,
Last year. So
yeah,
we
last
talk
year.
about the best teams first.
True.
So that's why the Trailblazers, because they were literally 12th place.
Nah, that was a good debate. That was a good debate about all of them, and also like a lot of the shit you said about the Trailblazers, man. That made a lot of sense about my man.
Well,
Dame.
someone said
Now
that to
that I
me,
think about
and
that.
I'm like, oh my god, he's
Yo, that
right.
opened my eyes a little bit. That opened
That's
my eyes a
the
little bit. I'm
easy
not gonna
way,
lie.
bro. That's the easy way. Because that's the thing. People don't see it. Like, how many superstars are stuck in dying franchise and taking all those
you're
max
kinda
deals?
right.
That's easy. That's the easy
Like
way.
I could if he was in New York taking that deal, I'll be like, okay, that's fine because Dolan's gonna pay that money, or LA, they're gonna pay that money. But he's in Portland, yeah, you're right.
Same thing. If Giannis never won a ring and started taking max contracts, and they never found a good second, because at the end of the day, Middleton ain't a real second.
Nah.
He's not a super. But they won a ring with it.
Yeah.
But if they never won a ring and they never found a true second, I would have said the same thing about Giannis. Because it's
Nah,
one thing
you're
about
right.
being loyal and staying true to your franchise, but if you're using all their cap space, then you're not really.
That's why I
helping
like
them.
Jokic. Jokic took $20 million less.
Exactly.
He could have taken 235 and
Hey,
he took
even
215.
James Harden decided to take a pay cut this year finally.
We're gonna just have to see. It's gonna be interesting. And make sure you guys click that like button below on the video, man. If you guys like this one. Also subscribe to us if you guys want to check out any new videos that we're coming out with. We got a lot of things coming out in the future that Mel is going to tell you guys about in a little bit. But make sure that you guys follow us along on our social media and also on Patreon. If you guys want to ask us questions, that's probably where you want to go. Of course, you can ask us on social media, but if you want to be a full lifetime partner with us, go over to Patreon, check us out there. And make sure you do some general support, and also you can check out some of the merch that we have over there as well. Also, you can check us out on social media, like I said.
No, definitely. You already know what it is. We love the fan interaction. We love the support. We love to hear what you guys want to hear when it comes to conversations we're having regarding the NFL season. Obviously, any top games that you want to ask about or you want us to, talk about. You already know what it is. Talking about the NBA season. Right around the corner from another UFC fight, so we got that coming up soon. So it's a lot of things going on, and at this point, we're hitting that clutch time where we have so much going on when it comes to sports. So you got a lot coming our way in the next few weeks, next few months. Keep commenting, keep sharing, keep letting us know what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear. We'll take it all. And as always, we love the support.
Exactly. Really appreciate you guys from all over the world. Right now, from what I'm looking at, numbers are good, and we're looking at over 90 countries. People are listening to us and I'm sure more people are watching. So thank you all for listening in, and thank you all for watching. Thank you guys as well, and check you guys next time.
Mellow.